Welcome to Whose Turn Is It Anyway, your board gaming podcast, where we sometimes cover big, large gaming conventions, which is exactly what we've just done at the UK Games Expo 2025. Hello, guys.
Hello.
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 And I'm not on my own, so we've got Becky.
Hello.
We've got Adrian.
Hello.
Oh, and we've got Davey.
Hello.
How are we all feeling, guys? Lots full of energy and all that kind of good stuff?
Buzzing, mate. Buzzing.
Buzzing, yeah.
Mustering the last ounce of energy to record this podcast. And I'm quite gutted we don't have Spudge with us because he'd have made an excellent addition to this podcast.
What about, where is Spudge?
I don't know.
Spudge is at home.
Is
Spudge
it?
is at
Spudge is
home.
at home.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
What the hell
are
and
they
who
talking
is
about?
Spudge?
It's our mascot.
My new secret boyfriend.
Your new boyfriend you're shacked up with.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Spudge cakes.
As sweet as fudge.
It's fair. As you can tell, we're
Spudge.
all knackered.
Delirious.
We're all tired, like most people who probably been to UK Games Expo, and yeah, but we've got a lot to talk about. We've got a lot to cover. So
I miss it already. I miss it already.
Yeah, I do as well. But before we get into the re-excitement of reliving the weekend that we've just had, this, just like last year, we'll be splitting our kind of content coverage of the UK Games Expo into this episode, which will be our kind of debrief, covering our thoughts, feelings, experiences, and all that kind of stuff. And as we'll talk about later, we also did a live episode show at Expo as well on the Fridays. And of course, we'll talk a bit about that later. But to actually hear it, and you want to hear it and you couldn't make it, that'll be on a different episode following shortly after this. So, yes. So if you wanted to listen to that, go check that out. And vice versa, if you want to listen to this, it's all good.
Yeah,
Or listen to both.
I'm going to have to go listen to it, I think.
Yeah, well, we'll find out why,
Yeah, I
won't
know.
we?
Yeah.
That sounded really condescending, and I didn't mean it to. We'll find out why, won't we, Davey? Like you had any
it was
choice in the matter, but it's fine. So let's get straight into it, shall we? We've got a lot to cover. Let's jump into the road to the UK Games Expo.
Are we talking about cheesy bangers?
I think we've got to talk about your Cheesy Bangers playlist.
So we listened to it, and Curly only fast forwarded one track, which was the YMCA.
That was a result.
Yeah, I'm pleased with it.
Did he sing
Pleased with
that?
that? No.
No.
I think it's quite a valid forward as well. A skip.
I forwarded 5, 6, 7, 8 by steps. That was my forward. But apart from that, it was very good. Apart from your toxic
Pony mix.
Pony mix,
What is
which
wrong
was-
with the toxic pony mix?
came in as pony, and I was like, awesome. I can't believe she put this in it. Oh, it's got toxic over the top of it. Oh, no.
It's brilliant. I love that. They're both great tracks.
However, very good.
Thank you very much.
I think there's a beer scale for the cheesy bangers for me. Like, how many beers do I need before I'll listen to a certain cheesy banger?
It doesn't necessarily mean good songs. I want to make that expressively clear that they're not good songs
No.
necessarily, but they are all absolute bangers. And I like how JP picked my drive for the inspiration. And I was basically saying, if you were sat like next to the dance floor and you heard a track come on, you'd be like, no, I've got to get up and do it. And that's exactly what JP said. And I was like, I'm glad you understood my...
I got the message.
that was the vibe.
I got the
Yeah.
message.
They just all made you smile. Every time a new song came on, I smiled because it would trigger a memory or make me kind of go, oh, she's put this on the list
School
or
disco
something.
nonsense. Yeah. So it's still available. Anybody who wants to listen to it, we'll put a link in the show notes for the Spotify playlist.
Absolutely, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, we drove up, right, Davey? So me, you, and Rob, we took a car together.
We pretended we were each in their own car, right?
Yeah. I did when he started talking about wrestling for 10 hours.
Should have been in our car, mate. It was Cheesy Banger sing along. I
Well,
was singing and dancing.
I bet you had Cheesy Bangers higher than volume 2.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah. So that Rob, bless him, he likes to have his volume on low.
Well, he's got to concentrate. hasn't he?
Got to concentrate.
Yeah.
And,
So-
Safety first.
but it's a bit hard to kind of sing along to a song when it's on. not
So we
really
talked
low
about
volume.
wrestling.
We talked about wrestling and Vince McMahon and all
Vince
that
McMahon.
kind of.
We did sing along to Macklemore.
We did, yeah. Thrift Shop came
Thrift
on,
Shop
and
came on.
we did do it anyway. But
I don't know if that's in cheesy banger playlist or not.
It was, yeah.
Oh, it
Absolutely
really
is.
was.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Yep.
Very good.
I'm gonna pop some tags.
So we did all that. But we got there and all that good stuff on the Thursday. So we get invited to the kind of preview press event, which is always good fun. We won't cover it in detail because ultimately what we'll cover is in the show anyway, and it kind of covers the press event. But
yeah, there's nothing new or different there. It's just a collection of people that are deciding to not exhibit, but just kind of get together there before.
Yeah.
So you just kind of get like a little taste.
a little taste.
It did feel bigger though, I thought, this year. Maybe it was just because it was over sort of more aisles. There were more aisles to it.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether there was less table on each aisle, but it just felt bigger this year, I thought. But apart from that, it was kind of similar to what we'd experienced before.
Yeah.
I think they must have fit more in though, because usually the Bring and Buy is in the same arena as one of the halls, and this time it wasn't, was it? It was in Hall 1. Mm-hmm. So they had that whole extra space, which I feel like they could have used a little bit more, but they must have filled it with other things in the actual hall, right?
Yeah.
That was one of the biggest changes this year, wasn't it? The layout was different. So originally the first hall was booked out somewhere else, so they were just going to have halls 2, 3 and 4, but then hall 1 became available again. So this time it was ticketing and Bring and Buy. And I agree with you, Davey. They could have, I don't know why they didn't stretch out the Bring and Buy, maybe not say put more shelves on there if not necessary, but you could have made it more roomy.
It's a huge space.
Yeah.
Hall 1 is, people,
absolutely massive.
It's mahungus,
and
if that is a word.
Because we got our tickets to Thursday, which is a really top tip for people. If you're going down sort of Thursday evening to be ready for Friday morning, go into the halls and buy your tickets, because then you're going to avoid all that queuing. But I don't know how bad the queuing got. So did they need all that big space? I don't know.
I mean, afterwards, after the press event, I went and dropped off my stuff for the Bring and Buy. It's the second year putting stuff into the Bring and Buy. Queued for 2 hours. This time was slightly different because you queued for your, I don't know if it was the same the year before because I didn't do the year before, but you queued for your tickets, to your labels to stick on the boxes, and then you joined another queue to queue up to put in the Bring and Buy. And the number of people who started queuing up for the Bring and Buy only to realise they needed to go and get tickets printed out, and then had to kind of leave that queue that they'd been in for 10 minutes and then sort of go and get their labels and then come back again. I noticed there's quite a few people doing that. But that was, for me, that was my only real gripe. There's always loads of opinions on the Bring and Buy, and I thought it was the 1-2 years ago that we tried to put stuff in the Bring and Buy was rough, and this was much better, much nicer sort of organised and well better done. Apart from the sticker thing, and collecting stuff at the end of the Sunday, jumping way ahead, was also better.
Nice.
So I thought it was a much smoother experience for putting stuff in and collecting stuff from the Bring and Buy at the end. So
they're getting there, aren't they?
It feels like they're sort of perfecting the rules so that it kind of covers everything it needs. So I was certainly more impressed. I know, say, reading comments online, not everyone was necessarily, but I was certainly more impressed this year than I was 2 years ago, and would consider using the Bring and Buy more often now.
It was like a 4-5 hour queue the year before, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
mad.
Yeah, it was mad. But people had like trolleys and trolleys of board games, which was obviously causing it all. Whereas now it was a 20 limit, I think, per visit.
20 limit per day.
Yeah, so 60 in total.
Yeah.
So
and again,
much better.
I was in the queue at sort of one of the longer times of it, and it was 2 hours. So that's not too bad, I don't think.
But
No.
I think, like, kind of call back to what you said, Becky. Like, to me, this expo is like, just felt like the expo of change.
Yes.
Just because the layout made it feel so different, even though we know what it is, and actually it's not really that different. But because Hall 2, 3, 3A and 4 is like a horseshoe U shape, really, and it's just kind of one continuous flow.
You could walk between all 4 halls, all 3 halls to
without
3,
leaving
3A.
the trade halls,
Yeah.
completely, all the way to open gaming and back and forth, and because if you've been to Expo before years and years in the past, you kind of get your bearings on, I know where this publisher usually is around this area. It does sometimes change, but they tend to keep them in the rough areas before. And this time it's like, I have no idea where anyone is. It's like going to a complete new convention and having to kind of relearn and remap everything out, which I quite enjoyed.
Yeah, it's quite easy to get turned around if you're not paying attention. But if you are paying attention, you can easily see which hall you're in because there's massive numbers on the walls.
Yeah.
Like
3
6-foot numbers. So, but because they're all connected in a way they perhaps weren't before, that is something to be aware of. Going back to the Bring and Buy, as a Bring and Buy user rather than depositor of games, we were only in the queue for about, 25 minutes. I think it was like Saturday afternoon.
It's not bad, is it?
Was it Friday afternoon? It wasn't at the peak time anyway.
It was Friday about 1:30 because I started queuing at about 1 o'clock, and as I left the Bring and Buy, I watched you guys walk into the
Friday.
Bring and Buy.
Oh, I'm glad it wasn't Saturday then. So I don't know if your experience was the same. So before, they've banned you taking any bags in at all. This time you can take bags in, but they banned you from taking any games in there, and they were checking people's bags on the way out because Curly had his bag searched on the way out. Okay. So I guess that's just a way of making sure you're not stealing bags. But when we went back in for like a little last look around on the Sunday, we just bought a game. And then we're like, oh, should we go in and bring a bite? Oh, crap. We've just bought a game. So that was a bit annoying. We just, Curly went in, I went in. So, because if they'd search your bag and they find a game in it, I guess they're going to take it away from you because they have to assume it's stolen, I suppose.
They'll have to fight him for it though, wouldn't they?
It was things in rings. It wouldn't have been like,
Yeah, leave it.
Hey, it was good. But yeah, that was a silly mistake from our point of view. Like we knew that rule and then we went and bought a game and then wanted to go and bring it back.
Fair.
So,
Fair enough.
I also think the traffic felt better, like people traffic in the halls.
Yeah, I thought you meant the M42.
No,
That wasn't better.
No, that was crap.
no, it wasn't. But walking around the halls, you had a lot more space where it was more of cross sections rather than they kind of used to have one big alley which kind of branched off. Now they had a lot more intersections in between, and it meant that you spread out a lot more. Sometimes it meant you missed entire stalls, but then when you went back and it was a little bit quieter, you're like, how did I miss this whole section over here? And it was like experiencing something new, which was great. I also felt Friday was busier than Saturday in my head, but when I turned up,
I felt like the Friday was really busy. I think the Saturday was busier.
Saturday
for
was,
my
for
feeling
me,
about it.
Saturday was definitely busier, but Sunday was quite quiet, I thought.
Yeah, Sunday was lovely for walking around.
I think again that's just the spacing. So like the only choke points I really felt was along the closest edge. Is the best way I can describe it. So the one that's kind of nearest to the entrance, that was always busy. And then if you kind of went into like I'd call them like the side alleys almost, where you have like the more niche stalls and some of the crafty stalls, they quite often got really jammed because people stop in the middle of nowhere to look at things, sort of thing, and they don't move over a little bit or whatever. So guilty of that as anyone else is. But those were the two spots where I constantly felt like I got stopped. But everything else was so free flowing that, I think it was much harder to judge the busyness of it sort of thing because previous Saturdays, you felt like to get anywhere,
Going
you
up and down
kind of
those
had
stairs
to really push your way through the crowd. Whereas Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I never really felt like that beyond a few seconds when you're going along a certain bit.
Yeah. I also found it easier to get demos or like walk up and get a demo because of that as well, because it was a bit freer. It was, I don't know, it just seemed easier this year, which was nice.
Yeah, I didn't experience that, but
fair enough.
Yeah,
maybe
fair
it was
enough.
the games I was going for, right?
Just the luck of Davey.
Well, you say that.
Yeah, I think that paints a picture of the kind of few changes of Expo this year, which I personally enjoyed and kind of refreshed it a little bit for me. But we'll talk more about that as we go. But
it was nice, wasn't it? There is one gripe I had, which was
you can't gripe about the Expo.
It seemed like the odd person, I'm not going to say who it was or describe them, seemed to be on a bit of a power trip. Like they shut the pigsty gates so that you had to filter through and queue. And it was like creating a non-issue. It was really weird because then we went back like 20 minutes later and there was a different guy on there and they had pulled the gates again apart and just let people through and it was free flowing. So I was like, why was he doing that? It seemed really strange. And then we also had a guy trying to stop you going in.
Yeah, apparently press aren't allowed in the open halls.
On the other bit of paper I saw on the
but then
it says anybody can after 6 o'clock. So he was right with the bit of paper he was stood in front of. Yeah. But the other posters said a different thing.
But
which is just a few.
But he was a nice guy about it, wasn't he?
It's fine.
Yeah. So maybe
JP charmed him. He was fine.
Yeah, he's my charisma stat.
Yeah. So maybe it was just some of the logistics that need to work out in that sense of probably communication somewhere, right? Of like, shut that hall off. We're getting too many people, but they need to communicate that to people as well, maybe. But other than that, the rest of it was really great.
It was Bonza.
I'd be interested to hear how the people in Hall 4 felt, because for me it was the odd corner. And several times I heard people going, "Do you know where this is?" Or "We haven't seen that yet," sort of thing. And all nearly like 90% of the time, I was like, "Well, that's in Hall 4." And I wonder whether or not the people in Hall 4 felt a little bit sort of cut
out of
off
the way,
or something, because it did feel like an odd little corner. And there were some big names in there, so it wasn't like it was again like the craft alleys or something like that was like all sort of pushed in there. They had some fairly big names in there, but yeah. Most of the times I heard when people were like, "Have you seen this or have you heard that?" And I had to point a few people in the direction of Hall 4. So I'd be interested to sit here if that is just sort of my experience of it, or if there's any facts or feelings from the publishers to back it up.
Sunday was the only day where I went into Hall 4 from 3A, because every other day I'd always come in from the main entrance, coming out and then back in. And by doing that, all the trade bits in Hall 4 on the left. Yeah. But usually the reason why is because I'm going for open gaming or whatever. Yeah. So I kind of just didn't really see Hall 4's offering until Sunday.
Interesting.
But that's just me because I'm busy. But
I had a good wander around and it was still felt tucked out of the way to me. But it would be interesting to see what they do with that in the future.
Yeah. It was the quietest section, wasn't it? Because it kind of felt out of the way and tucked around a corner rather than being full in view. And I didn't really think of it when I was there, but now you've said it, it's like, I completely agree.
And it's that thing of they had the white walls around it, right? Which to sort of say, well, this is the end of the halls, but it meant it was also felt very out of sight as you were walking into Hall 4.
Yeah, if you went into Hall 4, you wouldn't necessarily know that there were actually stalls in there, because you go straight in and you see all the tournament and then the open gaming stuff and the food carts.
Yeah. Which is good to keep it separated, but not good from a
selling your stuff
visible and advertising point of view. So just. As you guys have said, I think they did a fantastic job of the setup and the layout and how it felt this year, with that little caveat there for me. Yeah. That felt odd.
Cool. Well, let's get into it. So that's kind of a little bit about our thoughts and experiences, but let's get into the days. So entering into what is Thursday evening / Friday. Yeah. And Davey's debacle.
How should we start with that? Yeah. So Thursday, we had the press conference, and then afterwards everyone kind of went back pretty tired because it was the first day of getting used to everything. I got to bed. Within half an hour, I was probably asleep. Woke up in the middle of the night. My springs had broken in my bed. So I don't know whether anyone listened to the Essen podcast, but that bed broke on me, and now I had it again. So
what are you doing to the bed?
Davey, the bed breaker, right?
Yeah, slayer of beds, slayer of hotel beds.
But basically the springs had popped out and I was like really uncomfortable, and I did try going back to sleep and I was like, no, I can't. I later found out that apparently the reception is 24-hour, but I did check everywhere and I couldn't find any information on that. So next day I kind of go down reluctantly and complain, and they obviously give me a new room. So I thought, okay, great, this is it. Missed the live show because I had no sleep and finally fell asleep probably about 10 o'clock for 2 hours. They moved my rooms, and then the cleaner mixed up the bottle of bleach for the air freshener and proceeded to bleach my bag and my hoodie. So
it's not funny. I shouldn't laugh,
funny.
But that
it is now.
It's something that you'd see in like a carry-on film or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah,
put that down.
But yeah, they've refunded the hoodie. It's all good, and they gave us free breakfast for the rest of and I didn't really complain. I just kind of, until they did the hoodie, and then now I kind of went, come on, this is a bit of a joke now, right?
Kick a man while it's down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so I missed the live show on Friday, missed half of Friday. So that's kind of leads on to you guys, right?
Yeah, that's why you didn't see him. If you were there at the show and you go, where's Davey? It's like, at the time we didn't know. No. So we was like, is he right?
I was I was in a fetal shape on the floor of the hotel room.
But JP jumped into the breach and did all of your bits. So
nice.
Thank you for doing my bits, JP did all your bits.
I'll always do your bits. But no, we kind of, unbeknownst all of this shenanigans was happening, we actually had a lovely sleep, and the beds were great and they didn't break on us. And
no, same with us. We were in the same hotel, Premier Inn. Definitely stay there again. I think we've already booked for next year. So really nice.
I was on the top floor of the Hilton, which the Hilton was lovely. The view was amazing over the lake, and the bedroom itself was amazing. But the first night was really windy. like really windy, and on the top floor you could just hear the wind whistling all the way down the corridor outside.
Oh, that's annoying.
So I had to make a little towel bar, like draft excluder. And once I did that and realised I needed to do that, it was perfect. I really enjoyed my stay. It was very close, and so I thought, I paid for the money. Like I've got what I wanted from the money I've paid, sort of thing. You know, to be close in a nice hotel and all that lot. But yeah, the first night of just being like, what do I do? Oh yeah, let's go make a draft excluder and then sort of roll it up, and then that's worked good. Yeah,
it's like greased up naked guy in Family Guy, right?
What, just running up and down the hall upside?
I just meant more the whistle, right?
Oh, okay.
So we hit the halls first thing, and I had a kind of press meeting first up, which was like, right, let's get going, let's get Expo on the hip, and we met with a lady from Czech Games Edition, had a little chat, which was great, seeing some of their upcoming stuff, and to the point where Rob just got excited and bought Galaxy Trucker.
Yep.
So literally straight after that. But yeah, after we had a demo booked at Minor Disaster Games, Trouble on the Tempest, which Bob, one of our listeners, has kind of recommended for us to try out. I said, you should try this out when you're here. So Bob, if you're listening, which I'm sure you are, hello, we've met you finally, which was amazing. And what a nice dude he is.
Yeah, it was lovely chatting with him and his friends. Yeah. Were there as well in Hall 4.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
we had a nice chat.
Really had a good chat, good catch on. We love catching up with the listeners anyway, and just talking about games and stuff. And so we've got ourselves on that demo, and we bumped into another listener, Nicole, and son Aaron, and that was great. And they were kind of trying to get a demo, and me and Rob were kind of already booked, and we said, look, if there's space, because I think we had more numbers down than we did, because a certain someone wasn't around and probably having bed problems that we didn't know about.
Spring stuff.
Yeah, who
Who
knows? So we just said, just come and jump on this demo with us. So she was like, yeah, cool. So that's kind of what happened. And then another chap joined. The game is set in space. So obviously I like space.
Nice.
And Tempus is the ship. Right? And there's trouble on it, hence the name.
Uh-oh.
And you are a crew of this starship. I was the captain. That was quite cool. So I just role played this shit straight away, and everyone loved it. No, they didn't. And we had technician Rob onto the side. We had an engineer, this other guy, and we had a grunt, which was Nicole, and I think it was a science kind of officer, Aaron. And basically the game is it's kind of like your engines are knackered, right? So you have this kind of variable condition that you shuffle in to start the game. So that's kind of your win condition. You need to fix the engines. All right, piece of piss. You think it is. And then the game just kicks you in the balls for round after round after round. So you kind of wandering around and go, okay, there's kind of equipment all on the ship, space suits and exosuits and, all that kind of stuff you'd expect in sci-fi kind of games. And then suddenly things start going on fire and electrical faults start appearing, and just basically shit starts to happen and get real fast and gets real quick. And so you kind of action wise, you kind of move 2 spaces and do an action in a room, or you do the action and move 2 spaces. Like, you can mix it up. And as captain, I had the ability of basically ordering people around, which I did enjoy. And
never.
It's like, right now, you pick that toolkit up. I think that'd be good. Okay, I'll pick the toolkit up. But no, strategically, you pick who the first player is in the round, and you go clockwise from them. So you kind of want to sequence your actions in an efficient way that you can kind of get stuff done. So you kind of do all your turns, and then an event happens. So you've got a deck of cards, which is the event. Flip it over, and it's like, bang, right, room 6 on fire. This happens, this happens, this happens. And generally, as it gets real, like really, really bad, even just 3 rounds in, the whole thing's on flames. Your shields are pretty much nearly to minimum, and the ship is literally about to explode. Think Nemesis, but really quick. It's really quick.
That's what it reminded me of when she was giving us the sort of talk about it at the preview event. It's like, this sounds like Nemesis, but you've really actually got to play together rather than one person run off in a different direction.
Absolutely need to do together, but you don't know what's coming. And obviously this deck's kind of, obviously it's randomized. And then you get hit and you're like, we've all gone together in the wrong space. We've gone here, we've done this. Crap. But the whole rub of the game, what kind of makes it a bit unique and different is there's a time drive on the ship. And if you can get one of your team to the time drive, you can basically do a time loop and you reset the game back to the start. So what you usually find is even some people can die in the game, and that happened. Something exploded, one of the characters died. It was like, oh, great. It's like, we need to reset this time back to the start. And that's what you did. Now, when you do that, you get to keep everything on your character sheet. So every equipment you have, also every wound you have stays. But all of the ship resets. There's new bits of equipment that comes out. All of the flames go away. All of the electrical faults go away. And this time, a paradox card goes in the deck from when you did the time jump. And then you go again. And it's the same thing. So you've got to have a good memory in this, which is not my forte. So it's like, right, what happened at the end of round one? Yeah, I think some fires broke out and rooms. Okay, right, this time, guys, half of you go that way, half of us go that way, and off we go. Yeah, this is going really well. What happened at the end of round two? Can't remember. Oh, bang. And then again, another death. All right, okay. Reset, go back again. So you're kind of doing it. And the more you reset, the worse the game's going to punish you for it, because these paradox cards come in and alter the rules slightly. So it could be that, and normally you can pick your first player on the round. Might be that from this point on, it's random, or other things that can kind of happen. But you get to a point where if you do it too many times, you'll just blink out of existence because you've pissed about with time too much. And it was just a lot of fun. Like, it was just a fun co-op game. It kind of reminded me of that pandemic-esque of there's a puzzle that we've got to figure out. And you'd think by going back in time to basically do things more efficiently would kind of make it a bit samey, but because it's variable and there's different things kind of happening all the time, even when and with the paradoxes in, it still kind of gives you something to as a challenge. But we didn't actually finish the game. We played up to round 4 or 5, but we all had a laugh because we're just role playing it, and I think that's kind of the spirit of the game. And Minor Disaster Games are, they're a kind of indie developer and publisher. And I think the game's on Kickstarter or GameFound right now. Maybe it's just finished. Good on them. And coming up with something a bit unique, something I've not quite seen before in this aspect.
Sounds like shades of Time Stories, where you kind of which again is time travel, right? It's if you don't manage to do everything before something happens, start from the beginning, and you have obviously with Time Stories, you're just retelling the same story every time. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of similar to that, right? You're retelling that same story, but you're now more forewarned.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing it doesn't take like 3 hours every time like Time Stories does. So
no, it's quick.
It sounds like a unique concept within that design space anyway, within that kind of nemesis, move around a board, deal with certain crisis. And I think that's probably where the appeal is, in the fact that nemesis can be quite mean and quite punishing. Whereas with this, if you do get that punishing aspect, well, you can go back in time and rewrite it, right?
Yeah. It's like, nemesis, you're just screwed. And live with it, you're dead. But even if you die in this, you can get reset back to life and you carry on, which is great for no player elimination kind of thing. Because if one of you dies, it's probably not a good ending to the game that you're going to finish it.
It's not good.
Well, you're not going to probably do it because you need everyone to really be efficient. And I think they've gone for an aesthetic which is like fun. Like the way the game looks doesn't look serious, even to the standees that we're using. I know they have meeple versions. It's all just kind of doesn't take itself too seriously. So that kind of vibe. But yeah, Rob really enjoyed it. I mean, he loves his co-op games, and he was just like, "Oh, I really like that." And,
I can see that being a game that Rob.
And I
would like.
think for families that have a slight interest in sci-fi, would get a real kick out of that. This is good fun.
It's not too expensive. £45 on Kickstarter.
So there you go.
And it looks like they've already achieved their goal, so that's really nice.
Which is really good. Right. And we like supporting kind of the smaller publishers doing their thing. So yeah, good start to the Friday, I felt.
Nice.
With me, I can't focus on anything until the live episode's out the way, because that's all that my brain is like, oh, it's going to be in a minute, it's going to be in a minute, it's going to be in a minute, it's going to be in a minute. So I was wandering around and looking at stuff, but I don't think I was really, I wouldn't have been in the sort of right frame of mind for a demo or anything else, really.
Well, you had that added pressure though, didn't you? Because you took the lead.
Yeah.
Obviously Adrian as well, but yeah.
I just want it done. Even if anyone else had, I would just want it done. I just want it done out of the way.
It's a bit like having an interview. And you just
as much as I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed doing it. And I knew it would be fun when we did it just the same way as it was last year. But until it's done, I just wanted it done.
Then Expo starts.
Yeah,
that's fair. Sorry, Adrian, you were saying.
Oh no, I was kind of in a similar state of I was trying to get bearings for the new layout and all that lot, and kind of thinking a bit about the live episode coming up. And then Mark Monk from Ninja Geek Gaming totally took advantage of my lost, confused state and dragged me onto a table for a demo.
Nice. Good on you, Mark.
So, yes, it's literally, I literally bought sort of a couple of bits that I'd been like, I'm heading straight there. And then just thought, I'll have a wander around. And then he nabbed me. So he was demoing for Raybox Games, I think their name is. And they do sort of quite often like zombie survival games and stuff like that. And the one they were showing off was Arena Battle 1. And the idea is that it's multiple of you on a the demo version was on like a skirmish table, but the actual version you get in a box is on a gridded system. And it's basically zombies just keep coming, and it's the last one of you to be standing has won. And you can shoot other players and stuff like that and be a bit knobby that way as well. But it's ultimately about trying to get away from hordes of zombies. And I sort of stood there and played, and there was a couple of actually Mark's friends, like local friends as well, that were there. And we sort of played a game, and the miniatures were fantastic and the core gameplay was good. But I was like, this demo is a bit lacking. It just sort of didn't leave me enthused. And then as the demo was finishing, and this is kind of a theme for the weekend if I'm honest, he went, and of course in the main game you'll do this and you'll do that, and we've taken this out to make it easier and that out to make it easier. And I was like, I wish you'd added some of those bits in. And as it happened, I pretty much came back past that stand because it was along sort of the back edge, so it was quite an easy way to get through. I went past it about 4 or 5 times. Sort of by the Saturday afternoon, like Saturday sort of midday when I think Mark was finishing his last demo there, they really had that down and it was looking like a much more solid demo of the game. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of glad I was the first person to have the demo because they got to try it out a little bit on me and sort of, I think, start and mould what it would look like. And it does look like a fun zombie survival game, and someone who's a skirmish war gamer, I thought actually this is quite a nice compact box with some nice minis in it and a nice concept.
Yeah.
Some of the way you you don't start with ammo, you start with a knife and you got to go and kill zombies or go and discover ammo and stuff like that. Just sort of made that feeling of that you are in survival mode from step one really sort of hit home. And then when you could see, actually there was like a tank abandoned and you couldn't do anything with it. But by the time I came back round on the Saturday, they had people sat in the tank shooting the machine gun out of the tank and and this is stuff you can do in the game. I was like, this sounds cool now, like much more than just sort of the basic game that I was shown on the Friday morning. So a little bit gutted I didn't get to sort of demo it when it was a little bit more full, but at the same time glad that it was me that sort of got to be the guinea pig at the same time.
So is it more of a skirmish game or more of a zombicide-esque?
It had more of a zombicide. It's the typical sort of grid move so many spaces and all that kind of stuff, like Cluedo, for lack of a better sort of terminology for
that classic miniatures game.
Well, because it's on a gridded system, isn't it, with rooms and all that lot. So it kind of has that feel for it. But at the same time, it's then just filled with zombies. And some of those zombie sculpts are fantastic as well. And they've there's different big bad zombies sort of thing. One's just wielding a machine gun but holding it by the barrel end to swing it about and stuff like that. And there's some really nice sort of characterization of these different sort of alpha level zombies, which has worked really well.
Nice,
and always good to see Mark.
Yeah. Of course.
Cool. And the live episode.
Your live episode, yeah.
Davey's still sleeping,
again, right?
Yeah, sorry, he will join us on this episode, just like Friday. At some point, he turns up. So yeah, I mean, you'll listen to the live episode, I'm sure, on a different on the next one. But
there were people there when we got there. People there waiting.
We were
really
waiting,
nice.
which like we weren't late.
No, we were there about 2:45, I think, 2:20.
And we're following the Polyhedron Collider chaps, and I think they're just packed up and gone by the time we kind of got there about 2:45, because they always leave you kind of a half-hour buffer zone between a show leaving and the next one starting, which is great because it's enough time to kind of wrap up and say goodbyes, get your stuff, and then allow the other ones to kind of get set up. So in we go. It was in the same room as last year, except they'd opened the back.
Extended.
It's like, oh, this room's bigger. And we was like, oh, no.
No way we're going to fill this.
Oh, no. So, it's kind of one of those fun things. But we thought, oh, well, see what happens. But, people were already there waiting to crack on. And you do that natural thing. It's like, oh, you guys all right? And it's like, yeah, we're here for this show. Oh, you're here for this show? Oh, cool. You're in the right place.
Really think it's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, we knew we was up against the same time slot as shut up and sit down, which is like, no, this isn't great. But I have to say, so the guys that turned up, I just want to say a massive thank you. Honestly.
Every single one of you, we appreciate you being
We love
there.
you. Because when you do this thing, there's always a fear that it's just going to be us, which is just then us recording a podcast.
Which would be fine, it would be okay. But it's just so lovely.
The voting would have been awkward if it was just us. But
you're right, the format wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, that would have been crap.
I know, I probably would have just said, Becky,
I get to decide.
It's your run currently. Let's just do your next episode and get it done, kind of thing. But no, the fact that we had, I don't know how many kind of people turned up.
It was over 20 because we had some of our voting splits were like 11 and stuff like that. So it was over
20 plus.
20 plus.
Which is great. And lots of people that we've seen before. And most people had heard of us because we always do that little check at the beginning. And we had some new people.
We did.
Just dropped in. I was like, fantastic. So, I had a blast doing it. And as I did last year, it was great fun. And obviously I was kind of wearing my Davey hat as well, filling in for Davey, which was quite odd because for those that don't know, we did a first section of around as a take on the board game Battleground, like a World Cup style.
World Cup, yeah.
And I was championing games against games I really liked. So
maybe his heart wasn't fully into the kind of description.
I can't remember the one, but there's one game I was talking about, and then I went up against Captain's Chair, and I was like, really?
What you wanted to say was, forget everything I just said. That game's crap.
Vote that one.
Captain's Chair.
But I can't remember what it was. But yeah, it's great. What else is there to say?
That the audience got it right.
They did.
They did.
Well, let's not ruin it. Let's not
say any more than that. I would just say that the audience got it right on the day, and that's the important thing.
Yes. So good level of interaction, and even had time for some QAs, questions at the end, which was nice.
And probably one of the highlights of my entire expo happened at that time. So
you were so made up, weren't you?
I nearly cried. It's like, okay, hold it in. Come on, keep it together now. So Ryan, lovely Ryan, if you're listening, Ryan, I'm still agog that you did this. He found and sourced and bought Igloo Pop for me. OMG, I couldn't believe it. So Ryan is friends with Ian, who used to be on the podcast, a member of Crokinole UK. So shouting out Crokinole UK.
Yeah, love you guys.
They had organised the UK's tournament, Crokinole tournament. It's the final one of their kind of, I don't know what you call it, like
season.
This is how sporty I am not. And they were doing their sort of final season of tournaments at the UKGE, culminating in the UKGE sort of champion. Mm-hmm. Ryan and Ian both came, which was lovely. And Ryan bought Igloo Pop. I mean, Can you believe it?
We kind of lost for words a bit.
I just couldn't believe it. I
could tell you were so made up with that.
Yeah.
It's a little gesture, but I know that game is like gold dust.
Yeah, it is.
Get hold of.
I don't know how much it must have cost him. It's super rare. You can't get it anywhere. And that someone saw that and thought, "Oh, Becky'd really like that." I mean, he was absolutely 100% right. But it's just so touching.
Yeah.
Just so touching.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah, and we had some real fun characters in there. Ashley, shout out to Ashley, was sat at the front with her friend. We were talking about how much our feet were hurting, and Ashley's friend's in a wheelchair, and he had the best sense of humour. He was like, "Yeah, that's not a problem for me." And
yes, I don't get that.
It was just brilliant. They were, and I'm not saying it was like we didn't have a particularly bantery audience other than with the rest of us lot, but people were just having. It seemed like people were having good fun. Yeah. And if they weren't having a good fun, they were pretending they were, which was very nice.
They sat well behaved for an hour.
Yeah.
If they weren't having good fun.
It was really sweet. And someone snapped a picture of the granny trolley. His Instagram account's the Spare Chair, but I know he came to our live episode last year, so it was lovely to see him again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just really nice, wasn't it?
I love the granny trolley thing. This is like I really want to make this a big thing. I want its own Instagram account. I want it to get really popular for no reason.
I had to do some minor sort of plastic surgery on the granny trolley when I got home.
Oh, is it perishing?
No, it's fine. I resurrected it, but the drawstring, I think I tried to do it up and there was too much stuff in there and it kind of popped out one of the eyelets, but it's all right. I've oversewn it with. It's fine. It's
Friday.
It will
was
live
buckling.
another day.
It was buckling on Friday. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wheels were like, oh Jesus. But there we go.
You do have to watch people's feet. You've got to be careful of it. But it's very useful.
Yeah.
Should we all dress up as grannies one time and go with the trolleys? There used to be the two guys that ride around on those trolleys that would play music underneath. So we could do that. But
I mean, it's not paisley. So I don't know if people haven't seen the picture of the granny trolley and they're picturing one of the old tartan ones.
No, it's a cool stripy one.
It's funkier than that.
Yeah.
It's modern granny.
Adrian's laughing here.
It's sexy.
It's as funky as a granny trolley can be, I think. Which has got a limited amount of funk, right? But
good small f.
Yeah. Lowercase f.
Lowercase
funky.
f.
But it's very useful. So
I'm loving it. I want to see it every year.
It will make a return.
Just even if you don't put anything in it, I just wanted to drag it around the expo and people take photos and hashtag expo shopping trolley.
Yeah.
But there we go. So that's pretty much the live episode rundown, right?
And then the relax afterwards. He's like, okay,
it's done.
Yeah, I can chill out now.
Well, it's kind of a big deal, right, for people. I don't mind doing that stuff. I get nervous, but I too go, right, that's cool. That's done now.
I was just looking forward to it being over. Just like an interview, just like you said.
But during it, when you're in it, it's awesome.
Oh, it's great. And I loved it.
And you kind of ride that fear
Yeah.
as you go through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for many people, it's not everyone's natural habitat sat in front of people watching you talk about stuff.
Yeah.
It is hard, isn't it?
On top of that, it definitely didn't seem like it, but we'd been planning that for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
In advance, we'd started having the conversations of what's that going to be like, what we're going to do, does this section work, does that section work, who's going to do bits and pieces. So it's quite, again, it doesn't show it in the moment, does it? Because we absolutely wing it once we're in there. But the planning of it does sort of, it takes up a bit of your time ahead of time, and then you kind of go, is it going to all be worth it in the live episodes? So
I did my whole thing in the build. I don't want to do this next year. I'm not going to do it. I don't like it because it feels like homework, and I don't like that. But it's totally worth doing it. I really enjoy it, and I will do it next year if you want me to.
We'll figure out what we're going to do. Yeah.
But remind me, I've said that. In fact, make sure you don't cut this bit out, Rob, because I'll need somebody to play me back. You said you enjoyed it. You said you wanted to do it again.
I'm definitely doing it. But there we go. And then we found out what happened to Davey, and we're like, oh, Jesus. So we're all kind of caught up there, aren't we? And then you turned up.
Yeah. Hello.
Davey's back on the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. So I turned up. I met up with my brother, so he came up, which was nice. He was meant to, I think, 2 years ago, but train strikes and all of that.
Oh, so I forgot about that.
It was during that time, which I ended up having to go home early anyway.
It was the year of the bad back,
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that was a bad year for you.
Yeah, it was a bad year. So, but we got a game in. So we turned up and we played Gwent, which was really cool. If you don't know what Gwent is, then watch The Witcher. No.
Okay. You don't need to convince me twice.
Play The Witcher.
Play The Witcher, yeah. It's not in the TV show. Actually, they do mention it in the TV show, but So originally in Witcher 3, this was a card game that they kind of released, and it got so popular that they actually made a standalone computer game version of it. It's a little bit different to the Witcher 3 version, because the Witcher 3 version is like the board game. They've basically taken the Witcher 3 version and made a board game out of it, which some people didn't like. They preferred the online, like LCG version of it, or TCG, probably more like TCG. But yeah, so this is, you have 3 rows. You have a row which is your melee row, so it's got a little sword. You've got your ranged row, which has got like a little bow. And you've got your siege row, which is a catapult.
Or trebuchet.
You play 1 card, and then it passes over to the other player. At the start, you draw 10 cards. Those 10 cards are the only cards that you'll draw for the rest of the game. Each card's got a value on it. At the end of there's going to be 3 rounds, and it's the best of 3. Okay, so you're going to win 2 rounds. When you play a card, it's got a little value, which is a number, and that, it doesn't matter what row it is played into, but that is now your total value in your play section. Whoever passes, basically, whoever has the highest value wins. Sounds really simple, and it kind of is, but there's a lot of little nuances with the game that are really interesting, and it's a real duel game. And you've got to be like, right, I'm playing this 5. Does nothing at the moment, goes to the next player. He plays a 6. Now he's currently winning. I might have a card which is Frost, which negates the whole front row. Well, it reduces their value to 1. So I'm not going to play it now, but if he plays a lot into that front row, I might just play a load of crap cards I've got in my hand and bait out a load more cards of his, play that, and then suddenly he's reduced them all to 1, and I've only used my rubbish cards, and I've got a higher value than him. So he's got to make a decision with his limited resources. Do I just pass this round? I give this first round, or do I kind of push it out and try and win? How can I do this? And it's a real head-on-head battler. For such a simple card game, it is so tight. There's cool cards that are basically a decoy where you place it and you get to pick another card back up. You've got other cards which give you card advantage, because that's what all this game is trying to get card advantage. Play a card, you can bring it back from the graveyard. You've got the monster deck is basically, you play a monster, go get monsters from your deck and your hand, play them all out of that same monster type. And you've got a little power in the corner, which is your commander. So it's such a simple idea, and it worked so well in the computer game that I'm really glad they made a board game version of it, because there's like little kind of unique aspects they've added, which is a 2-on-2 mode. You can't do that previously; it was only ever 1-on-1. The 2-on-2, you share the discard pile, which is going to be interesting to play because you've got a lot of interaction with the discard. Now you're interacting with cards you don't normally have in your deck. I'm really intrigued to see how that works. But yeah, my brother never played Gwent before. We ended up having 2 games, I think. They let us have time to get 2 games in. And the first game, you could see it was like, oh, I'm not really getting this. And then then Snooze was like, oh, do you want to play again? Because towards the end, he got it. He was like, yep, let's play again. And we played again. And he absolutely loved it. So yeah, I'm going to keep my eye on that. I think it's going to be released around September time, but it's available for pre-order anyway. But yeah, down straight in my basket. Straight in my granny basket.
Straight in Davey's sack.
Yeah.
Lovely. No, I'm glad you enjoy it. I do like Gwent. I played Gwent on Witcher 3 a fair bit. I was always shit at it.
I ended up spending more hours playing Gwent than I did the actual game, I think.
I used to do that on Fable. There was a game where you were playing, were you playing the lute or the guitar? You were playing some musical thing. And I bloody loved that minigame. Oh.
Yeah.
I never actually played Fable, the actual rest of the game. I wandered around a bit, but I just wanted to play that game.
So, what did anyone else get up to on the Friday while I was playing Gwent?
I was keen to look at Wispwood, so they showed us that at the CG stand. What was the name of the lady?
Elaine.
It's really lovely, really helpful at describing all of the CG games. Wispwood, I think, is a bit dark, as in the colours are quite dark. I don't mean it's dark and scary. It absolutely isn't dark and scary. I think they've realised that the promo the demo versions they've printed are quite dark in colour, so it might be difficult to discern. But that looks quite simplistic. like almost like a puzzle. It reminded me a little bit of what I think Timbertown's going to play like, where you're trying to make like I think the first round you're making a 4x4 grid, then a 5x5, then a 6x6, but certain things stay on the grid. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that isn't how Timbertown starts, but you're basically trying to create scoring conditions that you have on cards next to you, so you know what you're kind of aiming to get, certain wisps of from the forest. And there's a cute little cat, and this cat is like a dual layered piece where you turn it over and it's just like a bit like a cat looking through a letterbox.
Yeah, it's like cute eyes.
And through like a tree stump, and you turn it over the other way and it's the whole cat. So there is a thing about turning this piece over, but like I say, we didn't manage to get a demo of it, but that looks kind of intriguing, but I think probably a bit simplistic for what I was looking for, maybe. Yeah. And that's me saying that. I'm not one for complicated games, but I think it'd probably be great for as like a starter game or like a filler game. Yeah.
Definitely a filler, yeah.
But that little cat piece just looked absolutely brilliant.
But we'll see, won't we? We maybe get our hands on S and have a little tete-a-tete.
Yeah, definitely want to try that.
Good.
Yeah. Well, at the press event, I met up with Andrew Santaro from Chip Theory Games, and great, because Andrew remembered us from Essen 2 years ago, pretty much.
He had a great T-shirt on as well.
Great T-shirt.
Neon Genesis Evangelion with Garfield on it. Really liked that.
And yeah, we had a really good chat at the press event, and so we swung. I kept gravitating towards Chip Theory booth for reasons unknown.
Unknown reasons.
You've got a magnet inside you for Chip Theory, haven't you?
I've got hard on for him. Yeah. That's it.
His water diviner kept pointing towards it.
So wherever I got
was just 2 chips, wasn't it? That's what it was.
Whenever I got my bearings, I was like, I go to Chip Theory and I work out from there. It was like my home base, base camp, and then off I went to different areas. But no, we kind of had a catch up with Andrew, kind of organised through Mark Monk from UK Games, and so it was myself, Mark Monk, Mark Dainty from Notboard Gaming, and then Mike Dennis from Ready Steady Play, all kind of met up, and we had a little kind of table round the corner from the back of the booth where they do kind of pressy demo stuff, and he just kind of showed us a few little games that are kind of coming up. The first one, quite quickly, is a game called Fight 5, and it's under their kind of subsidiary studio called Neon Night Studios. So for those that don't know, Chip Theory acquired a small studio that owned by Manny Tremblay, the artist and game designer. I think he drew Dice Throne, and he's done some projects with Chip Theory in the past, Tanglewoods and Wroth, which I'll talk about in a minute. But Fight 5 is just a very simple card game, much like War. If people have played War, off a standard 52 deck of cards. I've never played War, so it's just like War, and I've never played it, so it makes no sense. Plays up to 5, and you kind of have this line or intersection of line of cards between each player. So if you've got 4, I'll use 4 as the example. So you'll have like a cross section of cards, the 2 that kind of bridge each player, and then you've got the card in the middle, which is kind of everyone can go and attack. And really, these cards are all flipped over. They all have values on them from 1 to 13. And you've just got your deck, it's all shuffled, and you draw 5. And each turn, you're assigning cards to each of those cards. So you'll have 5 of your cards going to 2 on your right, 2 in the front, and then 1 in the centre. And it's quite a simple premise. If you get a higher number, you win all of the cards. If you get a star card, it acts like it will beat anything unless there's another star card in play. Then it cancels each other out, and then the next highest would win. Simple. Just really simple, bit of a silly, bit of a laugh game, and you play through, and then you top the points, and each kind of 10, 11, 12, 13 card are worth 5 points, and each star is worth 10 points that you win, and then everything else is just based on how many cards that you have in your deck, and this is score. Plays in 5 minutes. It's just a bit of silly nonsense, and that was quite fun. And then he wheeled out Wroth, which I was kind of keen to play again. I haven't played it since the prototype on Gaming Rules a couple of years back, I think. And Wroth is a game designed by Manny Tremblay, who I mentioned earlier, and it's an area control dice drafting game. and it's so like vibrant in color. Like
I remember you talking about how bright it was.
If you see the map, you think, "What the hell is that? I'm having an acid trip or something." But
it doesn't help with the little upward grasping hands that are coming off of the area control pieces, right? Mixed with all the colours. I was like, what is going on with that?
It's trippy. But I kind of like it. So it's kind of like high fantasy. You got your typical dwarves and elves and, these different factions. But the way that they're drawn, which is Manny's style of art, is just so vibrant. They pop off. And it looks fantastic on neoprene. It's just like, wow, it's just so it's so kind of in your face. And really, it's the game's pretty simple to play. It's a cracking convention style game, I think. Plays in about an hour to 90 minutes max. And we got through a full game, which was awesome. And I was playing as the Aidalon faction, which is like the orcs. And they have some cool abilities and they can kind of bring units back from the dead and transition other ones into orcs as well. And we had some dwarvy people, the Runen on the map. We had I can't remember the other names, but some shadowy thievy guys and some horsey people, the paladins. And you basically have a set amount of troops, which are your basic units. And what's lovely, Chip Theory, blown out of the park with production as always, has got unique little troop sculpts for every faction, and now they have, I think standard is metal,
die cast metal.
They've done them all as metal for the proper release. They didn't need to, but they did just for a laugh.
My Kickstarter bundle kept going, and now we've added this, and now we've added this. It's like you didn't really need to, but I'm happy.
It didn't lose anything not having the metal at all. But
when people's wives have to pick other Chip Theory games up the next day, they nearly break their backs with the weight of it. But we'll come to that.
Exactly.
That's why they've done it.
You know all about that.
Wroth.
And it's basically, let's say, dice drafting. So you roll your set of dice for the pool, and you've got an all-seeing die that everybody has, and you roll that as well, and that sits on your little mat. And you take it in turns, you pick your die. Whoever's in the last VP position gets the last die. So you end up with 3 dice rather than 2. And they do the typical things on area control games like moving troops, deploying troops, attack. And you get this thing called Cora, which is a resource in the game. So you can store Cora to recruit your more powerful units. And this is where the game gets interesting, because then you're putting actual dice onto the map. The dice aren't ever rolled. They're just typical Chip Theory. They're counters for health. Each unit for every faction is a bit different. There's different things, might help you score in different ways, and that's where the nonsense kind of comes in, because it's like, what is going on? Like, I've got this shield and I've got this, and it's fast paced. You're never bored, because I'm doing this thing, done, you'll go. I'm doing this thing, done, you'll go, and it just flies around, constantly flies around. You're getting you set up for taking an area because it's got a high VP value that you want to control, and then all your troops are dead, and then you're like, oh, okay. So it's quite knobby, but then area control games typically are quite knobby, but I don't really mind it in this at all. I just think it's fun, and we had a blast, and I managed to get the little win on that as well by the end. That was just a sneaky little play.
You should have seen his face though afterwards.
I was surprised. I genuinely was, because I didn't know which way I was going.
You were beating up a tired Mark Dainty and a very sweaty Mike Dennis, from what I saw.
Yeah, Mike had ran to that meeting, which the halls were hot as balls. I think mainly Friday and Saturday. So if you were doing anything other than or over a brisk walk, you are going to be dripping. And I think it took him 45 minutes to stop sweating.
Yeah.
So that was fun. But
took advantage.
We just had such a lovely play experience. And that's the thing. Like, the game probably could have been anything, to be fair, but the banter was there. Everyone was kind of in a good mood. And we just had such a good fun game, and always sweetens the pot when you manage to snipe the victory at the end. And but yeah, I just want to say thank you to Andrew, because he was such a great host, and he looked after everyone, and spent really a long amount of time with us. Yet again, he did at Essen, and he spent half a day with us, I think, in the end. But he's such a good guy, and more on him and other things coming up later. But that's kind of Fight 5 and Wroth. Wants to definitely watch out.
I'm looking forward to my copy coming.
Yeah. Wroth's great.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. What else we got?
I went via the Tenby stand. Cozy Cub Games.
Yeah.
And I actually took along my copy for Benji to sign. And bless him, he did. And he looked really surprised that I wanted. It's like, yeah, I absolutely wanted to sign this. I'm never going to get rid of this game.
Yeah.
It's great. And even Curly said, not even Curly said, but Curly's not a fan of that kind of game.
No.
But it has this kind of extra little bite to it that makes you want to come back for more. And it's a beautiful, charmingly illustrated game where you're basically designing a street in Tenby, the Welsh village.
Well, town I'd say in Pembrokeshire.
And you're kind of, the art style reminds me a little bit, I want to say Where's Wally, but it isn't. I think it's just because it's so highly detailed, not quite micro level of detail. And you've got like shops that are red or shops that have got lampshades in front of them or a bird on the top. And then you get kind of scoring conditions saying the amount of shops next to this one with birds score points. So you're trying to kind of position where you go. Every now and again, you can use certain tokens to kind of move stuff around. There's a really great catcher mechanic, but I would really strongly recommend Tenby for light, but not a throwaway. I think anybody could have fun with it, but it's got more than just your regular place this thing, score those points. It's really good. And his partner, maybe it was his partner. I think it was his partner.
I believe so. Yeah.
Recommended this game called Verdant.
Oh, yeah, you were like a pig in poo there, weren't you?
Yeah,
You're
so,
like...
I mean, from that recommendation, I just quickly looked on BGG and it had a difficulty of less than 3.5 anyway. And I was like, yep, that's in, sounds great to me. And it's about putting plants in a room and getting the right conditions, and it just sounds great. So I went and bought that immediately because it looks brilliant. I popped it all out yesterday and it does look brilliant.
Nice.
There's a picture on the front of a little cat curled upon a chair with loads of plants in the background. I'm like, yes, this game was designed for me.
I will do awful at that game because any plant I've ever tried to keep in the house has always died.
Dead.
Well, there's green
somehow
fun
the
tokens.
cardboard would like disintegrate in my fingers as I'm playing the plant.
Well, yeah, this game looks really good. So I can't say what it plays like yet because I haven't played it, but they had such a great expo, I think, the Tempe guys. They seemed busy every time I walked by. They were really friendly and, again, in that really nice way that kind of indie designers are, just really proud and pleased with what they've presented. Yeah. And they really want to share it with people, and they love it when they get people's kind of, when they realise people really like it. And you can see how heartwarming it is. I just sit in a similar way to Chris Piscott and on Fringe. You know, they had such a great stall. Fetching Feathers flew out of stock. It was gone. They had queues every morning.
Right, yeah.
So that was really nice for them.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad.
So that's always one of the nicest bits of the expo for me is seeing the passion and kind of how much hard work goes into these games, and they're gamers themselves. Yeah. They'll play all these games, and it's just it's got so much feeling behind it rather than just being like kind of like a faceless product.
Yeah.
It's their heart and soul that's gone into it. You get that feeling as you're walking around, and it's just really nice.
Yeah, a game I would have liked to have bought but couldn't was a game called Tacta. So I did have a quick demo of that, and that is basically a card laying down game which has got some dots on the cards. It's kind of done in like a black neon kind of style. Okay. So each card has got a certain amount. You'll say pink or yellow or whatever. You're a colour, and you lay a card down, and there's so many different ways that you can kind of overlap cards. So the point of the game is at the end of play, you've got the most dots visible of your colour. So the idea is to lay your cards down and overlap someone else's dots, but then of course you can only overlap a card once, so you can't keep having like a big massive stack over one area. Yeah. But there's certain kind of rules of placement, and that looked really, really good, but it completely sold out. So that is in my basket of games to buy when.
I was going to say, was the theme Tacta on, but that would be a really bad pun, wouldn't it?
So it is quite tactical, but yes, that is the...
It's good you've got control of the sound effects. You can put a little drum thing in after. That one works better, but you won't put that in, Becky.
I will. I'm going to keep it in because it was shit.
The kind of boom.
That's it.
Which is coming from...
Did anyone else see Tacta?
No, I don't never heard of it.
No. Did you see Tacta?
No.
It was in Hall 4. We were just having that chat about difficulties. Yeah. I think was it the OP?
The
OP game.
Yeah.
OP games. Yeah. In fact, it was when we kind of swung around to see how the Crokinole was doing. So I've skipped a day now. I thought it was Friday, but it's not. We walked around to see how the Crokinole was doing and bumped into Ryan, and he was talking about this game. And he said, they're giving demos of it, and they're giving away like a 2-player version. And I was like, okay, cool. And I didn't swing by it quick enough, and it all gone.
And they're all gone.
Sad times.
Oh, I don't know. Becky's gone into the future. Now we'll wind her back.
Yeah.
I think you will like Verdant though. So it's from the same publishers that did Calico and Cascadia.
Yeah.
And I think Cascadia is great. So I think it's kind of, you're right, it's that mid-size, mid-weight, sort of easily accessible game.
Yeah.
So I think you'll enjoy that. This is where, because I was a little bit sort of lost in the halls. Not lost, because I've
Help me.
Chip Theory Games. Good base. Home base, right?
So once I'd sort of done the quick lap that I always do to kind of get my bearings with stuff, I then was like, well, let's just have a wander around. I didn't really have any demos booked or anything like that, so I just had a bit of a wander around. Interestingly, you're mentioning the OP. I don't know how you pronounce that. I've always called it the OP. But Stuart and Josh were looking for Aang's Destiny.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're like, we've been looking for this for ages. And I was like, well, it's made by the Opera in Hall 4. And they're like, oh, we didn't know that and we hadn't seen it there. And then got there and they had like a whole stack of them. And they were like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. So hopefully that helped there. But I think the one game that I kept walking past the stand and didn't get a demo of was Popcorn by Yellow.
Yeah, I was interested in that.
So it's a sort of family weight bag builder, and it sort of was giving me vibes of Quacks, Quedlinburg almost, because it's that fun entry level theme, and just sort of bag buildings are always a bit of a leveler when it comes to family games and stuff
fun.
like that. And it's probably what you expect by the name Popcorn. You all run your own little cinema, and you put a movie on and you draw out from your bag and you put them in your little cinema, and horror fans want to go and see the horror movies and all that kind of stuff. And then once you get enough points from that stops showing and you move on to the next film and you draft that. But also you can draft the type of seats you've got in the cinema. And I'm not quite sure how this thematically works, but ultimately, like if you put a horror fan in a horror seat, then you'll get bonuses. So yeah, not quite sure what a horror seat is, apart from maybe sort of archback gothic style sort of. Yeah. But it's that thing of you're trying to draw stuff out of a bag, match it up with the seat, match it up with the film, get bonuses, sort of that Quacks feel. And I sort of hovered a few times. So they gave us a bit of a demo at the press release, and I hovered a few times kind of watching what people were doing. And I thought to myself, actually, it's quite a small box. It's not out yet, but it's quite a small box, and it's quite a fun theme that, movies are represented in some board games, but cinemas generally aren't. And I sort of thought, it's quite a nice, unique theme, but also one that families can get into and everyone can sort of get behind and all that lot. So I want to give that a go at some point.
Sounds fun.
But I felt
Really like Gallerist, right?
yes, Art Society, yeah.
It gave me sort of vibes of Dinosaur Island.
Oh,
That kind of pulling people out of a bag, certain colours go in certain places. It was just the colouring. Colours involved. That
it was bright, and like even the movie posters were that kind of. Some of them were like the horror ones were the old style pulp sort of pulp horror sort of styles and all that kind of
stuff.
and so and I thought it just had looked like it had a great production value.
Yeah.
So that's not really my weight of game for that kind of that. I like sort of quicker party games sort of thing, but it interested me, and I feel like I need to give it a go.
Nice.
Yeah, good. I had one more that I played on the Friday, which was Kinfire Council.
Okay.
So, Becky, you had spoken about this.
Yeah.
And so, me and my brother walked past, and there was no one at the table. And I thought, oh, yeah, Becky spoke about this. Let's give it a quick little demo. We sat down. The instructor, I don't know, the person running the demo basically sat down and went, go on then. And we were like, I don't know how to play this. And she just kind of sat there and just went, off you go. So I had to kind of probe the rules, which I've never had to do before, which was a bit of a weird experience, but it did kind of work in the end. Other than they kept telling us it was a co-op game, only co-op. Turns out when I looked on BGG, it was a competitive game, which made so much more sense. And I think there's a good game there. Now I know it's a competitive game, because you do have to work together to tackle like the cultists, which are taking over the town. And these cultists have a score tracker. And at the end, if the cultist is beating anyone, you lose. Everyone loses the game. At least this is what we were told. You lose the game. So you do kind of have to keep distributing points to the lowest player still, so that they're beating the cultist. But you also want to be the top player with the most points so that you win. Which creates a real nice kind of seesaw mechanic, because usually you don't care about the person who's last, do you? You're just like running away with the game. You don't care. Now you've got to go, okay, might vote. So let's explain the rest of the game. It's worker placement, building resources to deal with threats that happen on the board. You've kind of got cultists which block up spaces which you can fight. You've got a lighthouse you have to invest building into as an auxiliary action, which has points on it, which is how many the cultist gets if you don't build it, and otherwise it's how many points you kind of get if you do contribute. And then there's cards out, which certain effects will happen if you don't deal with them, negative effects. Then there's also the council, which is effects that you will vote on with your influence, which you've got a set amount of, that will go off and affect the game or affect the people. If you are the lead councillor, you'll get to choose kind of which goes off, unless there's so many votes that it's definitely this one. But that gives it a unique effect of the lead councillor will choose this card. They might not do it on themselves. They might do it on the person who's last and give them some points to make sure that the cultist doesn't catch up and take over the game. So, yeah, really interesting game there. It's kind of unique in that sense of, it's got the whole kind of, the co-op feel, but with the competitive nature of I want to win, so I just want to do a little bit better than you. I don't want to do so well that I'm taking all the points. I just want to do a little bit better.
I want the most distribution of points to make sure we all win in a weird way. But yeah.
That's what kind of made me interested in it when I was sort of watching other people's sort of top 10 things that's going to be at the UKGE. It from what I saw of it, it kind of reminded me a little bit of the King's Dilemma, which is a game we started playing and only managed to kind of get together twice to play it, and then it just kind of fell by the wayside, really. But I loved that kind of, you are joining together for the greater good, maybe, but you've got to remember that certain decisions are going to be in some people's massive advantage and maybe not your own. So you do want your thing to win, but some things maybe that you don't really care about so much, you get to sort of, all right, I'll back you on this one, but remember that I need you to back me next, whatever. And I quite liked that sort of, it is cooperative, but it's like a selfish cooperative sort of a thing.
Semi-co-op.
Yeah.
It's like legendary Marvel villains was sort of the same, was if you got defeated on the overarching story, if whatever that was went against you, that's it, you've all lost. But assuming you passed that, then it was whoever had the most points from saving people or whatever, whatever you were doing as the villains. You weren't saving people, I'm guessing, but capturing people and all that kind of stuff. So it's always quite, semi-co-op is always quite interesting, because I find that those games can be real make or break, because sometimes they don't always land right. So if you had a good time with it, I'm quite interested to see what.
Yeah, now I know it's not fully co-op, because we were playing it as if it was fully co-op, because they kept saying it was fully co-op. And there's a lot of different choices I would have made. Now I know there's the competitive side to it, and I can kind of see where the game is now. And that's why it intrigues me more than it did so just as co-op, because it just felt a bit easy. Yeah. It felt too easy, just because you were just like, well, there's a points tracker, I'm ahead, but what does that mean?
There's no benefit if it's
right?
So there's quite a few different games in their series, isn't there? Kinfire. So it's an IP that is just in board game. It's not like it's a film or something else. And there's what's the other one? I think Rob
Chronicles.
Yeah, that's it.
Chronicles is the RPG, and then they've got Delve, which is their mini dungeon crawler, which I will talk about because we played Saturday.
Yeah,
but it definitely interested me, and you had a good time with it. Well,
yeah.
Maybe you would have had a better time.
I had a good time.
Yeah. You saw that actually, if you approach that demo again, you'd probably have a better time with it.
The worker placement and the resource conversion and the way that you have to spend money to go, they've got, which seems quite pointless, but they had like tiered, there was like plastic bits that sat under these wooden, under the cardboard main boards, and it was only so that you visually could see this tier was higher than this tier. This cost you 1 gold. This tier is higher than that tier. That costs you 2 gold.
Oh, it's an Everdell tree.
Yeah, it's an Everdell tree. Yeah, it's absolutely pointless.
Besmirch the Everdell tree.
Pointless bits of cardboard.
But
All games are pointless bits of cardboard, JP. Not that tree.
No,
not
board
that
games
tree.
aren't pointless.
Sometimes they're chips and neoprene. How dare you?
Oh, yeah. Nice.
But yeah, the resource conversion it did scratch an itch, like going to these worker spots and then converting what resources you needed. But yeah, we played it at 2-player, right? So I do think it might come into its own at a 4-player, as those semi-co games would. Yeah.
I think that's the thing about any kind of convention. The people that are doing the demos are not necessarily teachers. In fact, they're almost guaranteed not to be teachers. So maybe teaching things isn't their forte. They're doing this as a voluntary kind of thing, usually to get access into the con. So the people that you're getting taught by may not know the game very well. They might have been expected to learn tons of games. So sometimes you're not going to get the best teach. It's just worth bearing that in mind.
That expectation. You need to have in your head.
Some people are just phenomenal at demos, aren't they?
I've been given a 40-page rule book with an hour before.
Yeah, I mean, it's just...
And you're like, I'm not learning all of this.
It's
not
an unrealistic expectation, isn't it? So maybe... I think that's a shame, because if you had have had a better demo, not to say better quality demo, but a demo with someone who had completely, knew the rules, knew the game really well, you'd have had a completely different experience, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I'm glad that you didn't at least let it put you off, but it could have done, couldn't it?
It didn't sit right with me. I was like, something that wasn't taught correctly. It's something that just didn't sit right with me. I was like, I play enough board games. I know the mechanics and... There's something off about that.
Yeah.
I asked the question about 3 times just to make sure that maybe I'd phrased it wrong, or like maybe I wasn't getting it. And then it was like, no, it's definitely co-op. And I was like, okay, there's something off with this. But we did speak about teachers while we were there, and I do think it's quite an important thing. I'm wondering why some developers or designers or producers don't put people that do know the game, because it's definitely going to change your experience of how you experience that game. But then I think it was you, Adrian, that said it does depend on the weight of the game, right?
There's so many factors in teaching. It's who's available, because you can offer, and again, it's how much can you offer. If you're a little indie publisher, you probably can't afford to pay people or put them up for the night or anything like that. So, that we'll talk about one, but my last demo, the guy was running late, so 2 of his mates just filled in who happened to have play tested it a bit, but wasn't there to be a demo. I just happened to fill in because their trains were running late. And it's just, so you've got all of that to worry about, as well as the fact that, is the person a natural teacher? This might be the first time you've ever heard of them, seen them. You don't know what their quality is or anything like that. There's so many aspects of, is it a scripted promo? Is it not? Have they understood the script? Have they not? Kind of, there's all those kind of things that make up a good demo or sort of make it fall apart a little bit. So I've turned up an hour before a convention. Well, I turned up a lot quicker, and they went, "Oh, and this is the game you're showing," and then showed off a 40-page skirmish game rulebook to me. And I was like, "Well, we're gonna have to cut this down a fair bit. Like, quickly show me what I'm showing someone." And a bit like Mark Monk did with the zombie one, very sort of simply went, right, this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to play the game. This isn't all the rules. Just tell them that and tell them there's more depth to it, sort of thing. And so my first couple of demos of what I was demoing at the time were not great, as I sort of evolved it and pushed it and all that kind of stuff. And so they're all in there. And unfortunately, a bad demo can break a game, and a good demo can make a game. Yeah.
So hopefully by the Sunday, maybe it was a better demo. So that's what, but we don't know. But I think there's a good game there.
Good. So that kind of wraps up the Friday, really. I mean, other than the Friday evening.
Five Guys.
That was Thursday.
That was Thursday evening.
We did. Yeah, we had Five Guys Thursday.
Friday
we had Japanese.
JFC.
Japanese.
Yeah,
fried chicken.
It was Japanese fried chicken. Yeah,
it was really nice. Really nice.
It was good.
Yeah, we had a lovely meal in there, and I stole some. Michael stole Michael's chicken wings.
You sat next to me. Met a little friend, didn't you?
Yeah, I met a little friend.
This is JP all over. I can't talk because it happens to. I'm that person too. So
I was just kind of minding my own business, eating my stir fry thing, my noodle dish, and he goes, "You wouldn't fancy some extra chicken wings, would you?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, I would love some extra chicken wings."
You had to hold back the accent then, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
You had to. I saw it coming out, and then he was like, "Wait a minute, where am I?"
I'm not doing it. And I was like, "You sure?" I was like, "Yeah."
To be sure, yeah.
Ordered too much, and I had one, and I said, "Rob, do you want one?" He said, "No, I don't eat chicken off the bone." I went, "Good." So I had the second one.
You didn't really want to share, did you?
No.
So I wolfed those down. And
Jealous of my wings. That's what it was, wasn't it? You're asking strangers to give you some.
Absolutely. So yeah, just chatted for 20 minutes, half hour, and it was just one of those nice little interactions that you have at these things, and you're just chatting games and generally interested in, what do you do? Like podcast, all right, cool, how's it work? And yeah, so that was quite a nice little experience. So yeah, Michael, if you happen to be listening, thanks, mate.
You really enjoyed your chicken wings.
I loved your chicken and your company. It was a nice dinner.
It's really interesting when you walk over to the resort world, which is so you walk through the Viking kind of encampment, and it always cracks me up seeing the Vikings come back into the expo to charge their phone. I love seeing that. I love seeing that. It's like anachronistic, just a little bit, but there we are. So you walk through the Viking encampment to go to the resort world, which is a mixture of food places,
food chains,
shopping stuff. And I know everyone's wearing their lanyards, but even if they weren't, you can immediately go, right, that's a gamer. No, regular people looking scared, looking confused. What's happening? And you can absolutely, you can really see the stark difference. Yeah. And I just think that's, so, even if Michael hadn't have been chitty chatty sharing his chicken with you, you'd have known if he was there for games or not. So you'd have known if you're going to have a game conversation or if you're going to be just, not doing that.
Yeah, we were all sat at the bar, if you wouldn't know. I wasn't just sat literally at another guy's table. We were sat at a bar in a row. So it's one of those seating and arrangements that it's functional, but it's not super social unless you talk to the left or right of you.
Yeah. It's not really, there was 5 of us on that bench and it wasn't really designed for that. I think it's good for 2s and 3s sort of thing. And then after that, it's a bit tough to kind of get involved.
Oh, yeah, because me and Curly arrived later, didn't we?
Yeah.
You got a table, you were
We'd
lucky.
taken a taxi back to the hotel because...
Why?
Well, so Curly had hurt his ankle, not his ankle, his foot a couple of days before, which wasn't giving him particularly too much trouble. But then you add 21,000 steps around that, and that is getting a bit of an issue. And I could see he was kind of not flagging, but it was. I'm like, "Oh, you sit there, and I'll go and get the stuff out of the shop and drop box, no problem." And he's like, "It's quite a lot of stuff." I was like, "Yeah." So I like to think I'm a bit of a pack horse, and I don't ever make 2 trips where one trip.
Same.
Even if you end up dislocating myself, I'm only gonna walk up the stairs once, and then I'll forget something and have to go down again. But that's
like when you come back from the supermarket, you've got 6 bags and I'm taking them all.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's stupid. I don't know why I do it, but there we are. So I went to collect my stuff from the shop and drop box first, and I thought, I'll get Curly's. Oh, actually, no, I've got a lot of stuff. I'll be sensible. I'll take a separate trip. Thank Christ I didn't try and do it all at once. Because Curly had gone to Chip Theory Games, so JP completely... Well, actually, no, it's not you that's at fault this time.
It's Rob.
We blame Rob for this. Curly had decided that he was going to get Elder Scrolls because he loved it.
It was always happening.
Just Elder Scrolls?
Well, no, just all of it. So
it was the all-in pledge.
Yeah.
Pretty much. A la carte
which
style.
consisted of a box that literally took almost the entire of the drop box.
It's like a
box.
stone.
It's an entire Kallax cube hanging out the edge.
Concrete block.
Yeah. And it's full of neoprene and lead by all accounts. And it got the expansion-y stuff. So I picked this up. Jesus, tonight. What a mission. They're all in very handy bags, which is nice. But I don't think those bags would have kept the weight. If I had to hold it like a baby, I suppose. Not that I've got much experience holding them, but I held it in front of me.
They're a lot lighter than Elder Scrolls.
Yes, I'm sure they are. You couldn't hold it by the handles of the bags is what I'm trying to say. And then I had another bag that had all the expansion-y stuff that he'd also bought. And I had to walk from Hall 3 through Hall 3, all the way through 3A to get into 4 where we were doing the open gaming to drop it off. Bloody hell, what a trek. And we were like, there's no way we're going to take all of this.
Which in meters or whatever, it's probably not that far. But when you add all the weight and everything, you might as well add another 7 miles.
And there's a lot of people as well.
So it's slow.
Yeah.
And then carried it all the way from 4 all the way to the Moxie as well, which I thought was like you've brought it all the way from Hall 2 to Hall 4 to then take it back past Hall 2 to the Moxie. And I thought you've done that in the wrong order.
Yeah,
we did all chip in then.
Yeah, everyone was carrying Curly's pledge, basically, what was happening. If we'd have thought about, actually, no, we need to, if I'd have seen it beforehand, I would have said, let's meet at the front because we're going to be going that direction. We're not taking this to a food chain anywhere. The granny trolley was fully rammed.
Still is overflowing.
It was, we needed a little drop.
It was an impressive haul. If anyone wants to see this, there are photos of it's one haul to rule them all. Literally.
I didn't get many big boxes. All the games that I bought were smallish boxes this time.
It's still impressive. It was a good one.
Yeah. So, that was... But using Uber was seamless. So we got an Uber almost immediately outside of the Moxie. We put our stuff in the back of the car, and then he waited for us, and we did another Uber from there, the same guy, and he brought us literally straight back. We were only probably about 5 minutes later than you guys were, I would have said. And we went all the way back to the hotel and back. So worked really well. Yeah, really well.
Cool. So let's move on to Saturday, shall we? So Saturday morning comes and more fresh faces appear. Hopefully Davey got some sleep and... Why
are you talking like this? It's some kind of children's TV show. It's like Teletubbies.
I like it.
The sun coming up.
The baby sun.
The baby sun.
I used to hate that bloody baby sun.
I know, it's awful, wasn't it?
I never wanted to
nightmares.
I never wanted to punch a baby so much. I know I'm probably a bit too real now. I don't like to do any of that. I want to put that on record.
Well, they're now like 20, 30 years old, so they're probably appropriate to punch.
It was just that little annoying face.
He did have quite an annoying face,
and
even for a baby.
Yeah. Just don't. Honestly, it's triggering me. But yeah, just like Teletubbies, we all skipped out of bed and had our little fry-ups.
And my free breakfast.
And your free breakfast,
nice.
Which is fun. And then, Saturday morning, we rocked up. So
shenanigans.
Who's going? What happened?
Power vacuum.
Power
Saturday
vacuum.
Morning.
Yes.
Yep. Power vacuum and the deluxe bits.
Was that a shark? A power vacuum.
Well, it's a game. It's a trick taking game where you are sometimes trying to lose a trick so that you can decide where the power moves from one colour to another. You basically get given a card in your hand, which is basically telling you what you want to succeed and tank. I mean, you can play it either way around. And if you win the hand, you win the hand. But if you lose the hand, you get to sort of move this really cool little magnet with like kind of like a tin can with a string on it. That kind of thing as a kid.
Yeah.
It's got this like a little magnet with a string on it, which is the direction that the power is going to travel.
Oh, okay.
And the little story behind it was really cool. Like you're like a communist power appliance.
It does look communism.
Yeah, they've done quite a lot of good sort of theming with that.
Appliance.
And the current I think what do they call it? Like major power is dead, and there's leaves a power vacuum. Hence why the game's called Power Vacuum. And you want to plug yourself into the main socket or something. It's quite funny. So all the art style is really interesting.
Yeah, like toasters and fridges or whatever.
And a phone. It's really cool. So that looks really interesting. I'm keen to play that.
Every time you win, you make a little bit of the statue of yourself as well, don't you?
Yeah, you're building a statue to your own honour, which is really cool. So each little kind of layer of this statue is representing 10 points or whatever. Yeah. But that looked.
I did really cool. The uniqueness of you're betting on someone to have top power, someone to have the least power, and that's a hidden card. So because it's trick taking, if you win, you get more power, and then if you lose, you can choose if you've already set that little
the power transfer
thing. You can choose where that power goes to. So you've got to try and also deduce.
Yeah, but you can if you reveal really early what your kind of alliance is, you get more points. But then, of course, everyone knows what you're trying to do, so they're not going to let you do it. But if you don't reveal right till the end what your kind of alliance is, you get crap amount of points. It just looked really interesting, and I'm really keen to play it.
Yeah. I'll be keen for playing that one as well.
That's good.
I was just looking it up because I genuinely thought there's a game called Cogs and Commissars, which is exactly the same theme. So it's communist robots. and it's like just a card sort of party game. And I genuinely thought they was the same company because the art style and the feel is identical.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
It's a completely different style of game, but yeah, it's interesting how many robot
Flash up lines, communist games.
Yeah, the games there seem to be. But anyway, it's just exactly the same, that red and white with a bit yellow in sort of art style. And
the kind of the font they've used is quite kind of, is it?
Acrylic? I've just looked it up because I was like, oh, it must be the same company. It's not.
Yeah, Keen Bean Studio.
Yeah.
It makes Power Vacuum.
Nice.
I'm not sure the other one, but yeah, that just looked. And I had to buy the upgraded box bits because obviously, why would you not?
Why would you not?
So that was cool. And that was my first purchase on the Saturday, I think.
Was it?
Oh, apart from getting that folded space insert served by King Milo himself, the designer of the thingies, which is always nice. And I think he might have recognised us a little bit. Oh God, it's her again. Oh God, she's gonna. Oh no, he was lovely. He was super nice, as he always is.
She's going to ask for a photo again.
Oh, how
cutting
many?
in queue as well.
I didn't cut in the queue.
In fairness, there wasn't one.
Do you know what? I didn't even go to Inside Up Games because I couldn't face it.
Oh,
just in case. I mean, my pledge of Earth Abundance is on its way, but. Yeah, I couldn't go near that in case.
So you didn't see the wanted poster of your face behind the thing?
No, but I
watch
just
out for this one. She jumps queues.
Furious. All the British people are furious.
I just couldn't face it. I couldn't face it.
Yeah, now I've got a Taverns of Tiefenfall insert, which I didn't know I needed until I basically got stopped with Becky, and we had a look and went, I've got everything. I went, but actually... I haven't. I need that. That's full of baggies, and it's doing my head in. So yeah, pick that up.
And I bought some socks from, what are they called? Witch Hunt, because I forgot to pack socks like some kind of idiot. So I then bought some really cool, they're not just D20s, they've got all the different kind of style dice on them. And I bought 3 pairs of those.
Nice.
So that was cool.
They had some cool ties though
We
bought
one for Curly last year, actually. Yeah, I'd call it stealth geek. That's my favourite kind of
It's not
attire.
Obvious unless you really look and you kind of know.
Yeah. There's a couple of really good T-shirt suppliers. And one's called Lonely Red Planet. Curly's got most of their Lord of the Rings ones.
Yes.
And I bought a couple of Harry Potter-esque ones. And on the Sunday, again I'm skipping into time, we searched for
Doctor Who.
Yeah. I'm playing the Trouble at the Tempest. I'm just doing a little we went to shirts and merch. Lovely Matt in shirts and merch. And Curly's ordered a Scythe t-shirt because the quality of their t-shirts are not just saying
really good.
this.
Really good.
Are beautiful. So I bought one has a board game Obsession, and the title, even though I haven't played Obsession, but I really want to.
When you posted it, I thought, I didn't know you'd played Obsession.
No, I haven't, but I liked the.
But she's going to, and she will get it.
Yes, and I love Jane Austen, and I'm not saying I have a board game obsession compared to some people, but I liked the premise of the t-shirt, and it was in burgundy, and that's one of my favourite colours.
There you go.
And it was on the sale rail.
They do rather good castles and Rons.
What, burgundy?
Burgundy.
Yes, they do.
Unique New York.
There you go. So yeah, shirts and merch for really good board game t-shirts.
Sounds good.
So yeah, that was because I'd mostly bought everything I needed on the Friday. I didn't do the Saturday was mostly me buying crafty stuff, which was always nice.
Crafty Becky strikes again.
Yeah,
nice.
What else did everyone else do Friday?
I bought a board game table. We were on Saturday, but I bought a board game table.
Burn in your wallet.
Yeah,
big hole now. Is there?
Yeah.
Well, but it was most of your bring and buy stuff went towards it. Didn't
it was, yeah. So what I sold in the bring and buy basically paid for the deposit of the table.
So it's almost free then, Adrian.
Almost done.
Almost free.
Just got to go to a few more bring and buys.
Yeah.
Or sell all of your collection basically to forge a table.
Yeah, really push that OnlyFans. I'd kind of spent a bit of Friday wandering around and talking to people. So apologies that I didn't buy your table if it wasn't a natural 20 table and I spoke to you about buying a table from you, because there is now such a great selection of different board game manufacturers offering different styles, different levels of board game, different options and all that kind of stuff. And I nearly bought one to bring back with me because there was one that you could like take in half and then I could have fitted it in the car. But cool. Decided not to and just ordered one. So we'll see that in a little while. But yeah, I went with natural 20. tables and got their hybrid table. And so, yeah.
What's the difference? Because ours is a natural 20. So what's the hybrid?
So there's the, you're going to make me remember the name of them. There's the Gamer, which I think, so they've got Gamer Adventure. So the Adventure is the one that can split down because it can be put in the post.
Oh, okay.
And so they can reach wider markets. Then there's two others, and they're kind of either side of the hybrid. So the one's sort of not cheap, like it's cheaper, but it's not. It's still a nice table. So there's one that's sort of a sort of more budget friendly one, I guess you'd call it, and then there's one which is the all singing, all dancing, which I think is the one you guys have got. And then there's a hybrid one that sits in the middle where it's got like solid oak tops and stuff like that, but then the legs are slightly softer wood.
Oh, okay.
So that it's lighter and a bit sort of cheaper for them to produce.
Yeah.
And that's the one I went for.
Nice. Yeah, we only picked ours because we got an offer on it because they'd already started making it for someone else, and that person couldn't then carry on with the purchase. So we didn't pick that.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's been great. I think Natural 20 have been great.
When you join their Facebook page, you can see every few months there seems to be one that's like, oh, this is for sale now to other people sort of thing for a reduced price. So, got some accessories for free as part of the show. And they were saying that unfortunately they're going to have to put their prices up soon. So they were
such as the economy.
Get in now, and then we don't offer much more off at the moment. But if you get in now, at least you kind of miss our price bump. So
did you get to that point where you did it and you did the transaction, and then you just felt a little bit kind of queasy and ill, and now to sit down?
Yeah,
because I did.
So I kind of, as I say, did all my research on the day, and then went back to the hotel and did even more research, and then put my deposit down, and immediately went, is this the right one?
Yeah.
Have I done went straight back online and tried to sort of re-research everything just in case I'd made a mistake, even though I'd put the deposit down at this point. Like it's signed, sealed, delivered. Yeah. But no, I think I've made the right choice. I'm quite happy with sort of having gone on their Facebook and seen other people's hybrid tables.
You'll love it, mate.
I think so. I kind of added the under table leaf storage, and I'm not sure. I might ask for them to remove that because I'm not sure about it. I think I might.
Is that where you store the planks?
Underneath the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know whether or not that's the right choice. So I'm going to have a think and a mull, and I might remove that and put some different accessories in.
We tend to keep ours half erect, half not. I don't know how you're going to say it.
Half
so
cock.
we keep one half with the table planks on it for eating, and the other half is generally open.
Gaming space.
Which works for us because then you just need to take one extra plank off if you've got more people, or if you're actually having people around for dinner, which we never do because people are coming around to our house for gaming, not dinner, and then you put the other planks back on, so it works fine.
Yeah. As I say, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, it's a bit of a wait till it arrives, but looking forward to it.
That's good.
Yeah, as you say, felt a little bit queasy for the next hour or so while I sort of realised what I'd like. When you're like, I've been looking at, say, I'm moving house hopefully soon. As we're recording this, I'm like a day or two before exchange, hopefully. Fingers crossed. So I've been looking at sofas, and it's like, a set of sofas is cheaper than that board game table that I've just bought.
You don't need to sit down there, Adrian. You need to game. That's the
And it's pretty much everything else that I'm buying for the house is cheaper than the table in it, and you just kind of go, oh.
There's always IKEA Poang chairs.
Yeah.
There's always those. If in doubt, just get those. They're comfy.
Yeah. It's But it's done now, so that's future me's problem.
That excitement and the adrenaline of, I'm going to do it, and then you actually pay for the thing, and it's like, then like you just said, it's
a weird feeling,
queasy. Oh god.
Yeah. And now I've kind of got to live in the mellow until it arrives, and then it'll be all excitement again. Yeah,
because then it'll be like, it's done. It's in the history, gone.
It won't be as long as the wait that poor Tambo had for his table. Oh my god, that
the
was
Ironsides
forever, wasn't
one.
it?
Yeah, I nearly backed that as well because it's modular, that table, so you can kind of make it into different sizes and all that lot. But
well, welcome to the
Wentworth
Table Club.
Well, when it arrives, I will be. But yes, very much looking forward to it. And the guys on the stand were lovely.
Good.
And
they were nice.
But as I say, I went around all of the stands that sold tables, and they were all like lovely and just talked about kind of what they do and how they do it and how they make it and all that kind of stuff. So
nice,
good,
nice.
Yeah,
that was the exact table I was looking at before when I thought we were going to move.
Yeah. Well,
that fell
hopefully.
through, so yeah, nice. You're gonna enjoy it.
I'm hoping so.
You can actually put some board games in on there.
As soon as I've moved, even before I got the table, I'll get some games in. Now I've got like a dedicated games room, and it doesn't feel like just everyone squashed into my living room that I just happened to squeeze a dining room table into.
Nice.
We'll
We look
put some
forward to it.
games up. Yeah.
Can't wait. What about you, Davey? What were you doing on Saturday?
So I went and checked out a game which is a little bit 2023, but got to be done sometimes. So my brother's into more skirmish games, so we ended up having a look around at more skirmish games than I normally would, because I do play Kill Team and the odd skirmish game. But we ended up checking out from Goblin King Games Moonstone. So Moonstone is a skirmish game where you have to go and collect moonstones as the main objective. It's like a little die that you would put out that has a net value on it, and when you do the action trying to pick it up, I think it's the only time you roll a dice, but you roll a dice and see if you can pick the moonstone up. You've got the objective. But the combat is where it is. It's very different. So the combat, when you're shooting someone, it's called arcane. You have a value, a stat, which is say 3 or 4, and you draw from this deck. The defender will have an evade value, and it means they either get plus that many cards, but they'll always draw, I think, a set value of 3 or 4. I can't remember the exact rules. We were just having a little demo. In the deck, there is 2 3s, 3 2s, and 4 1s of 3 different colours. To do my ability, say it's a red 2. I'll look at the cards in my hand. Oh no, I haven't got a red 2 in my hand. I'm going to bluff. And basically you always will say, put it face down, say, I'm doing this. It's up to the other player. They might look at their hand and have both red 2s in their hand. They know you're lying. They're going to say, nope, you're lying. So you flip the card. If the person who played the card was actually right in a different scenario, then they get to go again and do their ability again and go through the whole process. So it can be bad. But we know this time that he's bluffing, right? So he flips it. If the other player has a catastrophe in their hand, they can swap the card with any value card in their hand. So they can suddenly deal damage back, which is a real unique space for skirmish games, that little bluffing aspect. You don't necessarily have to rely on what you roll on die to be able to play this. You can just be like, right, I'm going to play the social game. I'm going to bluff this forward. Or you don't. You can sometimes you'll have those values and still get lucky, which means you can just, be honest. So that was really unique. Then Melee is unique. Melee is the same. It's got a deck of cards with a certain amount of cards of each type. But Tom, who designed it, was a mixed martial artist. And he's created a deck that feels more kind of, if you're going to block high and the person goes high, your sword is going to clash. You're going to negate a lot of the damage. If you play a block card that's low, but they go high, they're going to deal a lot of damage to you. So on each of the cards, it's got like a high swing, mid swing, or a thrust, low swing, high guard, low guard. And then in each card that you play, it says, depending on what they've played, how much damage you do, or you might not deal nothing. As well as having signature moves that if you play a certain card on your character, you'll do a different thing, if you want to say it. So it creates this real ebb and flow of combat that's really interesting of what cards you're playing. And this isn't a bluffing game. This is just trying to think, ooh, they do more damage if they play that card. I've got these cards. I can negate a lot of that damage. I'm going to play this. And you can kind of slightly map it out. And it comes down to more the player than necessarily how lucky you are at rolling dice, which, yeah, for a skirmish game, real unique concept. Tom was lovely. We had a chat with him. He said he might come on the show, which would be great because I don't think we've had a kind of a skirmish designer on the show. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it. Me and my brother have now ordered a load of it, and each character is also like some whimsical fairy tale, but done in quite a unique model aspect. And apparently the way that they make their resin models is actually quite unique, but they wouldn't tell us how they did it. It's like a trade secret, yeah. But it's a real cool own little theme and really unique mechanics. So, yeah, 2023 best rule set.
Is that what the posters in the kind of entrance to the halls were talking about, Moonstone? Because I recollect it's like a Davy Jonesy piratey man.
Yeah, they had some cool little pirates and everything. And yeah, go check out the models. If you're into skirmish games, I think this will be,
sounds cool.
Right up your street. Yeah.
Are the pieces little actual moonstones? Because that'd be cool if they were.
So the moonstones are actually just D4s, but you could make some like crystal looking moonstone dice, right? Yeah. And put them, because when you like roll them out, you kind of, I think this is how you do it, because we didn't actually play that. We played a little duel, but you roll them out onto the board and they land in different spots, and what value they have on the die is actually how hard they are to dig up. Is how deep they've fallen into the earth.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. It should be made of little moonstones, so that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But you could bling it up, couldn't you, if you were that way inclined?
Definitely.
You could do it.
So it's not too hard to do either. You just need a set of D4s, right? Cool set of D4s.
Yeah, makes
the
sense.
Moonstone D4s. I'm sure they do them somewhere, right?
Yeah. Glow in the dark ones.
Yeah.
Because why not? So, yeah, I think on Saturday morning after our folded space soiree purchases, I think me and you headed to Splitstone Games, right, Becky?
Yeah, it was lovely to see Jack again. His stall was beautiful.
That's really nice.
Really lovely, kind of. I mean, I guess the games he designs lend themselves to a really nice kind of earthy, natural kind of stall. So he had just a whole wall of mycelia just all over there. And it was some of them, I liked how he'd mixed it up with the regular box art and the kind of fancy pants sleeve, the dark green, and it was really nice. It looked really good. So we had a little chat with him about the expansion that's coming out, which is all about mushrooms that are native to North America.
Yeah.
So that was nice. And he brings a 5th player in.
It does.
Which looks really cool.
Had some more mechanics apparently as well.
Yeah, that's right. So that looks pretty cool. And then we demoed his game Stag.
We did.
Which is about stag beetles, not 4-legged stag creatures.
I thought it'd be a Euro about going to Magaluf on the last holiday.
lads.
But it wasn't that.
Getting a shit tattoo.
Your beetles are fighting, so maybe you could work it in if you really wanted to.
I didn't know if I was disappointed or not. No, I didn't know it's about stag beetles.
And even though it was an absolute prototype, like cardboardy bit, and like he had made the actual stag beetles out of wood, and the pupa out of wood, and the little grubs out of wood. So it's similar. I think it's got a lot of similar aspects to mycelia, as in you are kind of evolving a thing. So obviously you're evolving a mushroom. In mycelia, you're taking it through its kind of life cycle.
Yeah.
So similar, stag is kind of similar in a way. So you're starting off with beetle cards in your hand. They start off, you play them as a grub, which you need certain kind of resources for. They then, to get them into the next section, you are kind of using time as the resource to grow them in their pupa state. And then you need some certain kinds of food in order to make them kind of battle ready as an actual evolved beetle. It's a programming game, I would say. So as I was playing it, it reminded me a lot of why I'm so terrible at Spirit Island. Yeah. Because you've got to think, in a minute, this is going to look like this. What do I need first? For someone who isn't thick, I mean, I'm a bit thick sometimes, but someone who isn't thick, I should be able to work this out. So it makes me a bit cross that I can't visualize this as well as I think I should be able to. But it does it in a really clever way. You've got like a grid in front of you as your little player board, and you've got kind of 5 tile pieces that have got 3 or 4. 3, I think.
I think it's 4.
Actions on each little kind of stick, and you position that where you want to, and you basically run the program through the middle line. So you decide what action you're going to do, but each little stick has got maybe it might be time as a resource, it might be evolve a bug, it might be whatever. So you can't do all the things on it. So you've got to try and work out, right, what do I need to do first? Right, well, I need some time for that. Only those 2 sticks have got time. Oh, but that one's got the bug. Oh, I need to do this. So it's a kind of programming. Decide what you're going to do, run your program, get your resources, and then do the stuff. But if you have made one mess up and you can't do the next things, you've kind of wasted your turn, really. So it's really clever in the way that it's all simultaneous play. There is sometimes when you need to do things and it does rely on like an order, but it's really clever that there's not any kind of waiting around, which is what can be really annoying in most games, that kind of waiting for your turn. So it's a simultaneous play. It's really clever how he's used that kind of, I don't know much about bugs. I'm not is it entomologist?
Sure.
One of those, a bug specialist.
Yeah, entomologist, because etymology is words.
Yes,
so
exactly. I'm much better at the words.
He sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
Better at
because there's the joke,
etymology.
It really bugs me when people get the wrong saying.
Bugs you.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Entomology.
But I really like how he's taken that kind of the idea of something that is nature-based that we all understand, like that kind of life cycle and growth of something, and has kind of, again, we were playing, like I say, a complete prototype. So it wasn't real cards, it was paper, but it was totally understandable how this was going to work. Like you could absolutely, like the rules are really simple-ish, but how you kind of construct your turn is different. And then you do have this kind of like stag battle at the end, which is quite exciting. It only happens if you've got
the
two
showdown.
People. Yeah.
Lads on tour.
This is it. So there is kind of like, there's definitely an element of, other kind of stags.
It's like basically, it's groups of lads going to BCM nightclub in the middle of Magaluf and then having a rock. That's basically what it is. You could completely
their whole night, right?
You could retheme this.
Yeah.
Completely. It's not too late, Jack. It's not too late. You could diversify from your nature.
It's definitely a couple of steps up above the difficulty level of Mycelia.
Definitely.
But not too difficult to grasp, but just difficult for me to get my mind around it.
Yeah,
I do find that with sequencing games. So some people really bounce off of the kind of programming aspect of these games, whereas some people, really drawn to them. So I do find it's the game type rather than you, Becky.
Yeah, it's not going to be a game type that I'm ever going to excel at, I don't think. But what was really funny was at the start of the chat, he must have remembered Curly from last time when we played Mycelia.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, is the other guy here? What's he called? We were like, I don't know, Spudge or something. We were like, who?
That was my favourite bit of the convention.
The guy with the nickname. I was like, oh, Curly. And he was like, yes. I was like, well, and his name actually is Curly because I miss his Curly. He was like, oh, because he thought exactly.
Oh, bless him. He did sort of go a bit red in the face, really, being honest.
He made the exact mistake that I have made when I first met Curly, thinking it was to do with how curly his hair is, because that's what I made. That's what I thought it was.
I thought you meant you called him Spudge as well.
Yeah.
That would have been excellent. But yeah, so that's what we called Curly for a little while afterwards, didn't we? But I think he was really interested because he was asking for kind of feedback, wasn't he, about how it's working.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he would have found Curly's opinions more useful than mine.
Yeah, I think the two things that I really enjoyed about that game, one was the programming bit, because when he showed me it, I was interested. I was like, I really like sequencing games.
And the cleverness of deciding, well, I want that square, but it needs to come before. That was really
if I slide this tile up, I'm covering the resource. But I want that action. And it's
that's the bit. It's what you've left uncovered. So underneath there's resources, and what you've left uncovered is the resources you get. So it's not just about picking the actions in the order it's in. Sometimes you have to make a slightly less efficient choice because you want
need eggs.
The top one of this three.
Yeah.
That means you've got to slide it all the way down, which covers up those resources.
Yeah.
Well, if you do it one later, that might not be ideal for you, but it means you then get the resources you want because you're going to use the bottom one of the next hex. And that is...
It was really clever.
It's really, I would say JP made the sort of... It's a bit like Smartphone Inc. in some of the respects of how you lay out these tiles, and it's not quite.
It's not the same.
It's not the same, really, but it's that same feel. It's not the same. It's not the same mechanically, but it's the same of getting that puzzle and working it out, and you're all doing it simultaneously, so it goes a bit quicker than. Well, it feels quicker than I think it is when you're doing it, but you sort of work that out, and then you're like, right, let's go.
Yeah.
But I kept messing up the fact that I was looking at the resources that I was going to get, but I wasn't remembering.
Didn't have them now.
You don't have them now. You have them at the end, and I was using that as a lot of my right. Well, I'm gonna bring that beetle from its pupa state to whatever, and I need this. Yeah, I'll have that because no, you won't have that now. You'll have it at the end, and that is the bit that I kept making errors with.
But the second point of the game I really enjoyed was the showdown.
Yeah, that was
because
really good.
He basically explained it when he did the teach. He said, "Have you seen golden balls?" I went, "I know exactly what this is. I know exactly what this mechanic is." And it's basically that split or steal at the end of golden balls, where if you both kind of steal, you get nothing, or you get bad stuff.
Bad crap, yeah.
If you both split, you both get something. Or if one of you steals and one of you splits, then the steely person gets everything, and the one who splits gets nothing. And it's got the same sort of thing, but they call it fight or forage. And we had we had a freeway, but we did have a freeway
with an extra person.
Us two and a lovely extra,
and an extra, and
bought them in specially.
And it was like, yeah. And you said it, basically, I was the git. I stole from everyone.
Of course you were. And
Andrew, I knew he was going to do it as well, and I was like,
that's not bad at it. So I got 5 victory points. Thank you very much.
I don't want to, because it's not quite as bad as they take everything.
No.
The stealer doesn't take everything. The person who forages actually gets more resourcey and good stuff for the longer term, but actually less victory points. So there is a bit of a, because I was like, well, it's just whoever's going to make, when he sort of first explained it, I was worried in my head that it's just going to be whoever judges that bit right
will win.
Yeah. And while it does give you an advantage if you keep calling it that right, and if you keep calling it right, I think you will win. But if you call a few of them right, you can still lose because so I had an engine which meant that I basically went from grub to beetle in a turn almost every time, because I was doing time mechanics and I was picking things up that just wanted loads of time and less resources. So that's kind of what I'd done. And actually, despite the fact that I lost several of the battles, I still managed to come in with a good number of points because I'd built a slightly better engine by foraging more, sort of thing. So
one to watch.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
I think you can tell with Splitstone Games' production what this is going to kind of be like.
Yeah.
So you can kind of see past the prototype for sure. So yeah, definitely.
But it was still a beautiful prototype.
Oh yeah.
To be fair, it was absolutely lovely. It was
one to watch.
Yeah, definitely appealing.
Sounds up my street.
Yeah. So pretty much straight after that, I headed to Earthborn Games, and I've been on my list was I wanted to try their new game Hubworld, Eidolon. So Earthborn Games, I've done Earthborn Rangers, and that's been quite a good success for them, and managed to catch up with Andrew Navarro from head of Earthborn Games and formerly of Fantasy Flight Games. So quite a well-known dude in the industry, and I had a good chat with him, which I enjoyed. And Corey DeVere, who's co-designer on Hubworld, along with Michael Boggs, is names that are pretty much in the Netrunner scene, have been. He sat us down, me and Rob, and taught us the game, which was lovely. And we played. But Hubworld, for those that don't know or don't know what the hell I'm talking about, is a competitive head-to-head dueling card game. It's got a lot of spiritual successor of Netrunner in the way it works, in the fact that you're kind of playing as these seekers of various different factions on Hubworld. So Hubworld's like a trading planet that has established portal technology, and it's rendered a lot of the old routes of trade pretty much redundant. So, your kind of spaceship travel and all that kind of stuff has all been redundant. So you've got these different factions that are, one's like the kind of militant government style. You got cops and those kind of things. You got the old world people with the old money, the people that were making money, rich families and all that kind of stuff. You've got criminal underbelly and different bits and bobs. So all the colours are kind of referencing different factions, which obviously lead into different mechanics. And the goal of the game is quite simply, you need to find 3 of your opponent's agents before they find 3 of yours. Much like agendas in Netrunner. It's a similar vibe. Now, this is kind of completely symmetrical, rather than your Netrunners kind of asymmetrical in the way that you've got runners and corps. So it means that you're kind of setting yourself up in very aggressive and defensive kind of plays. So you all have a grid in front of you of kind of 3x3 sections, which each kind of column is defending a particular district of your kind of play area. So the right one is your commons, which is represented by your deck of cards. Your middle one is your council, which is your hand. And the left one is your archives, which is your discard pile. face down discard pile, because you actually have another one that's face up. And in that grid, you can pretty much stage any certain cards like obstacles or locations that you can kind of put on there. Some of these are going to give you economy. Some of these are going to be, if they're obstacles, putting barriers down to slow the opponent from delving into your districts to find these agents. And much like Netrunner's ice and servers system, it's cleaner, I would say. It's more simpler than that, because Netrunner can get very technical and it can get very deep, which I do enjoy. But this was just a very kind of cleaner adaptation of that. And really, it's just like, I do a thing, you do a thing, I do a thing, you do a thing. And that's the biggest kind of change, the fluidity in this game. It just zips around. It's, whereas Netrunner's like, I do 3 actions or 4 actions, depending if you're a corporal runner. So I'm going to do a thing, then something else, and I'm going to sort this out, and then I'm going to run, and then we've got to resolve that, and then we've got to do this, and then that's my turn, done, your go, which can take, sometimes it's quick, sometimes it goes on. This is literally, I do an action, it's your turn. You do an action, it's my turn. And actually, as a play style, do you want to rush to try and do something? Are you then reacting to what they've just done? There's a lot more kind of mind games in that as you play. And I really enjoyed it. It was just a really good, fun game. The artwork on it was cool. I think it's the same artist they did with Earthborn Rangers. So it's kind of like a dystopian, kind of futuristic sci-fi style, cartoony style on there. And I think me and Rob just had a little bit of a blast, and it took 20, 30 minutes, probably not even that long, once we got the flow.
I was going to say, I sat and watched 10 minutes while we were waiting for other stuff, and while you could see, I couldn't quite see your hands, so you could tell there was some level of complexity. I actually picked up the rules without a teach and just asking a couple of questions in that time. So I think that tells you how simple the design is, but the actual decision space is clearly a lot deeper.
Yeah.
And I got that through in just watching you guys play for 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So it's quite cool when you're delving on your opponent, which is basically, I'm trying to access your deck handle discard pile to find agents. You can kind of pay these shards, which is the currency of the game, to put heat on your opponent. So the more heat that they have, there's more cards that you draw out of their deck handle or discard pile. So like most of these games, economy is key to do anything. So if you know that opponent's running a bit dry, you're like, I'm going to run. Sorry, I can't say run. I'm going to delve on this particular area, because usually they're having to spend those shards to flip their face down cards, which is called forging, to make them face up, to then suddenly having barriers in the way. So you've got all of that kind of stuff there. It was cool. I'd like to play it again. And just see a bit more of the card pool, see what kind of cool things you can do, what tricks of the trade, and actually experience how different those factions are. Because you can build your decks in mixed factions, either go heavy on orange or have a bit of a spread. And I haven't played it enough to know what each of them offers. And like Netrunner, I know if I'm playing a Jinteki Corporation, I know what I'm getting myself in for. Or if I'm playing this particular runner archetype, I know what I'm getting myself in for. So I haven't quite figured that out yet with Hubworld, but shows a lot of promise. And,
Rob wanted to go halvesies.
Yeah, it's a common theme with Rob is, do you want to go halves on absolutely every game that comes out, pretty much. So, but yeah, I'll say check it out. I think it's just had its campaign run, but there's late pledges available. If it's kind of you'll enjoy those things, I'd recommend giving it a whirl. It's fun.
Nice. What did anyone else get up to on Saturday? Anything?
I had a few more things. So just after I watched them play Hubworld, I went and visited Glass Cannon Unplugged. So again, Mark Monk hooked us up and said, I've got a quick meeting with them. Would you like to join? And got a bit of a chat with them about kind of what they've got coming up, and can't speak too much about it. But what I will say is they were able to divulge a few details of Diablo. And as a big Diablo fan, I'm now even more interested in seeing it. So obviously they've got the board game and role-play game announced. And as I'm sure you can understand, for both of them, it's going to be about progression and sort of going up those levels like Diablo is all about. But
I loved that game.
Yeah.
It was one of the only computer games I played, Age of Empire and Diablo 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloody lovely.
Good game.
Yeah, they are. And I think, again, right, this is so early concept with what they're doing and what they're getting. Obviously, they've got to go, it's an IP, they've got to go through studios and stuff like that. But I'm intrigued, really intrigued, and I'm hoping that they start and release some of what we heard, but also more in the near future, because it kind of reignited my appetite to want to see more of that board game and the role play game. And they've clearly got big plans for it, and I hope that it will do well and they can continue to build on both sides, that they're clearly investing in both the board game and the role play game side of it. So yeah, it's exciting stuff. Again, can't talk too much about it, but just that's the way of things, right? Just I am excited.
Go and kill some demons.
Yeah, that's it.
Nice. Well, I had... Oh, should I go into the Delve? Yeah, you mentioned Delve earlier, and I thought I'd lead into the Kinfire Delve. So that's a game that my brother picked up, and then a couple of people have been playing, where it's a very small dungeon crawler in heavy quotations, because to me it felt more like a group co-op Euro, but with a kind of dungeon crawler theme tacked on, because you have a deck of cards, which symbolizes your dungeon. You have your character, and then you have your hand of cards, which changes depending on how many players you have. So we did a 4-player, so it was a hand of 5 cards. This symbolizes how quickly, like when you use abilities and stuff, you're going to tire out. So you don't draw at the end of your turn. The only time that you would draw is if you then draw an exhaustion token, card. And the exhaustion cards usually have a negative effect, which is permanent, that come out. But these cards also, if you draw too many of them, there's usually a loss condition on there as well. I'm not going to spoil anything because they are different depending on what box you get. 3 boxes that you can get. So you kind of have these set amount of resources in front of you. To start with, we're all playing with closed hands, even though it was a co-op. Massive mistake. What you're meant to do is you have the boss card, which is, I think, different. I think there were a variety of different cards that we could have had with this first box. So we had a boss card, and then you put a card on from the actual dungeon deck on each side, facing side, so you get 4 cards out around it. And then you'll flip them. Each card is a color. So you have like blue, green, red, and then it will have a value on it. And it will also say whether it's a combat card, puzzle card, or basically indicate what type of challenge this card is. That value is a value you need to meet with the value of your cards in front of you. A lot of the time, yours will be nowhere near. Anything that you do towards this card, though, will be progress that will be put on the card. So you can team up and kind of go against it. But for losing, you'll lose either health, which is group amount. So I think it was 9, it was starting with 4 of us. But we all had the same health pool. Or what you might do is you might end up putting cards back into the dungeon, because your main aim is to go through all of the cards in the dungeon. So by killing these monsters, you'll discard a load of cards face down, so you won't see a lot of the dungeon the first time you play it, which is great replayability. Cool. Or you'll get some item, which is you charge a special card, which may be really strong, and you can put it in. So you have to match the color of it. People can assist you and boost your card, so they'll have a little boost value at the bottom, which will do stuff. As well as your cards will usually have abilities on that would be like, oh, add extra if it's a puzzle, or do this other stuff. We were playing with closed hands to start with. Not the way to do it. Open your hand, and then everyone talks about, oh, we think we should maybe get this card in, you'll boost it there, and everyone's chatting. Real great interaction for a co-op, because you're playing your deck, and at the end of the day, you play it how you want to play it. But other people are going, oh, I can help here, or I can do this. If I boost this is going to help. And you deal with these basically challenges that are out in front of you and try and burn off the cards. And then when you get to the bottom, you fight the boss, which flips over. First box, nice and easy and great. The other guys played the 3rd box, I think. And I think it goes difficulty-wise, and they just got absolutely slapped. They just ended up burning all their resources, and exactly as it did. Each different character feels really different in the way their deck played. So my character had this little shield icon, which no one else has. I had a little ability that if I boost and help someone, if I've got a shield in there, I negate damage for each shield in there.
Nice.
And it's the same for myself as well. So Yeah, Richard, my brother, had where you can move progress around. So if there was progress out, so you could quickly top someone else off or leave them on one, top someone else off, and then deal with that card doing 2 cards at once. Top up. You could quickly top up another card with that progress and deal with someone else. Chris played with us, Tambo's brother. He had basically one where he put extra progress out, and then Tambo had a cool thing where he allowed us to re-roll the dice. I haven't mentioned the dice. Each value also has 3 dice. For each color that you roll that matches the challenge you're doing, it adds progress to. So you've got a little bit of chance in there as well. You might be like, oh, we're like 2 away.
Yeah.
Oh, let's roll the dice.
Can we push
fine,
it?
Right? Yeah, can you push it? And then there's another dice which has like Kinfire on or darkness. And there's certain effects on the cards and monsters that come out that might affect it. So,
cool.
Yeah, it was surprisingly really good. To start with, I didn't know what to think about it. And then as soon as we got into it, I was like, yeah, I'll definitely
I'm intrigued by it
again. Yeah. It definitely felt more Euro-like because it's about your values and kind of what you can play to add up to this total value. I suppose there's no engine building as such and there's no like deck building with that, but it had real crunchiness and kind of deterministic values that you were putting out with a little bit of RNG with the dice rolls. But yeah, really good.
Nice. Good stuff.
I went over and did, some craft stuff that I like to do after I've made all my game purchases. I swung by Enchanted Needles store. So I think she's called the Enchanted Needle, but if you want to find her stuff on Etsy, it's Enchanted Needle and she does really great counted cross stitch. This was the one I was talking to you about, Davey.
Yeah.
Saying, because Gemma's into cross stitch.
She is.
So she does a lot of kind of RPG and meeple-y kind of stuff. And you get like a little kit that everything's in there. So you've got your Enchanted Needle and all of your, I call it floss, but I don't know what the actual, the string bits of embroidery.
Is it just thread?
Thread. And your Ada, which is the little square bits, and an embroidery hoop. So it's everything you need is in one little envelope. Nice. So it's really cool. Yeah. I bought this time a cool dragon and a really nice bee.
It's like a geometric bee, isn't it? It's
cool. Yeah. So,
nice.
And yeah, she was really lovely as always. Lots and lots of different kind of styles there and seemed really popular. There was lots of people at the store. So it was really nice to see that.
No, good for her.
Yeah, you can make some cool cross stitch. I've got like Gemma's done me some Magic the Gathering, different like colours.
Symbols,
yeah. And then there was a Cthulhu one that she's done. And yeah, she probably actually really enjoyed that. So I said, maybe you want to come next year. But,
I think cross stitch it's like pixel art, isn't it? Because it's in little squares. So it's really nice.
Nice one.
Yeah.
So I just swung by with Rob to Molinaris Games. So we had a kind of another demo of Time Troopers. So Rob's just really keen on this. He's completely hooked.
It was like going back in time.
It was, yeah. So I'm not actually going to go through the game because, well, 1, we did it last year, and 2, spoiler alert, we're going to have an upcoming episode with Molinaris Games Lee, probably talking about it in more detail. So I'm going to save it for that. Sorry, guys, but if you want some more Time Trooper goodness, it'll be coming soon because it's literally launching on GameFound at the end of June, and we'll be putting some content out around that at a similar time. So that was cool. Well, I wanted to talk about Rob's enabling of the weekend. So Rob, what you didn't say about Kinfire Delve is that your brother bought it, but why did he buy it? It's because Rob somehow mentioned it, and then Rich
Rob didn't shut up about it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you got to get this, you got to get this, you got to get this. And Rich went, okay, I'll get it. And off he went. And then he went, oh no, but I don't know if it's any good. And luckily it sounds like it is, so that's good.
It's sold out everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And luckily Waterstones had it. Waterstones actually had the best layout of any shop, may I just say.
And every game I bought, I found out was later cheaper
in
Waterstones, which is like normally Chaos Cards is my go-to.
Yeah.
Only if you signed up and got your 20% off your first purchase. But, you could do that with lots
why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all good. But we sat down with Mark, and he was doing the demo of Time Troopers, and I was doing a scenario in feudal Japan. Where good fun, really good fun. But all the while, Rob's talking about Elder Scrolls, as he does. And obviously Mark was quite interesting because he owns Too Many Bones or bits of it. And, Rob's doing his basically best sales pitch.
It's hard to sell.
Yeah. So I got a message from Mark pretty much at the end of the show after he'd finished with a picture of Elder Scrolls that he's just now dropped £200+ on.
Elder Scrolls, talk to me.
Yeah, talk to me. Yeah, Elder Scrolls, gone all in. And he said, yeah, thank Rob for this. So yeah, just enabling people buying lots of games, which was fun. But yeah, no, it was always nice to catch up with Lee and Mark from the team, and they've been kind of friends of the show for a few years now, and we love you guys. And
I remember the big plaster cast whale.
Yes. I think we're melting with heat as the day progresses in the expo.
Their stand was quite subdued compared to normal because they'd had massive plaster cast whale, and then they had that big time gate thing, and this time it was a bit more subdued. Got to up your game for next year, guys.
Yeah,
but also kind of just swinging by, we went to Eerie Idol Games and met with Pablo. So they make Old King's Crown, and just a massive thank you to him for basically saying, here's a copy of the game, go and enjoy and talk about it. And
I'm looking forward to playing that.
We haven't busted it out yet.
No, I've popped it.
Oh, you popped it?
Yeah, I popped it.
Davey's busted it out, but we'll be playing it again soon with the full new look and feel.
Streamlined rules
and seeing how it plays. But we always enjoyed it anyway in prototype form. So it was good
He was so, you could see the passion he has for that game.
Yeah.
It was really, really nice to see.
Yeah.
And then maybe there'll be some insider knowledge as well at some point. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Ooh, what's that? Ooh, secrets.
Secrets.
I was actually quite intrigued when talking about his next upcoming project.
That's what I was talking about.
Oh yeah, but but the theme of it. I'm not going to say anything.
No,
I don't know if I can. I'll get shot. So yeah, but it was good fun to catch up and
it was
catch up with old Pablo.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be able to get another game with him soon.
Yeah. But no, thank you again. Really appreciate that. It's awesome. So yeah, that was pretty much my Saturday, other than playing a prototype I cannot mention and I cannot talk about in any stretch of the imagination.
It's good.
But it's good. More about that later. I don't know what else to say. But yeah, anyone else? Saturday?
Yeah, so I got a demo with Spudge. So me and Spudge went over to Paris and Games.
I sound this Spudge fellow.
Yeah, he's lovely. He's lovely.
The alter ego of Curly. Is he a nice Curly?
He is a nice Curly, yeah.
Curly's nice. I won't have it
said. Spudge is nice.
Spudge is more outwardly friendly.
Yeah, he's sweeter than Fudge. Spudge.
We did buy some fudge, actually, talking about that.
Yeah.
That fudge was good.
It was good. So, yeah, Curly said, if you see some, will you grab it? So just as I was buying some, he then rang. We were then kind of meeting up wherever we were meeting up. Unbeknownst to me, he'd already bought some fudge. So he'd bought 2 blocks and I bought 2 blocks. So fudge was...
Fudge for
double
Spudge.
the fudge for Spudge.
Fudge for Spudge.
Yeah. So it was really
Spudging
nice.
out.
I even went back on the last day as well because obviously it's fudge. It's going to go out of date. And I thought, we'll have a quick cheeky swing by and reduce some of the last little bits of fudge.
Nice. Yes,
I've got a lot of fudge in the fridge at home. Anyway, that's not where this started. So we did go to Paris Games. So Luthia, a big fan of that, played that a few times in prototype version and found out they had a new prototype there, which was very prototype. It was mostly in black and white. With the player colours pretty much being the only colours on the board. So it was Class of 89 is the name of the game. And the concept is that you are building you are in charge of making the yearbook. And what it really is it's a work placement game, and you are placing your workers down to get the photos for kids and teachers in certain classes and then setting it out in your yearbook. It has sort of a hint of the welcome twos about it, because really what you're doing is a teacher will go down first in a class and it will say for every nerd or jock student or nerd and jock student, you'll get so many points. And then what you're trying to do is fill out the rest of the yearbook in alphabetical order. So the students must be in alphabetical order.
Yeah, makes sense.
So like the welcome to where you got the numbers sort of thing, that's what you're doing. And then if you kind of can't fit it in, or you need to you've kind of run out of room or of alphabet rather, then you'll probably get a new teacher and put them in, and then they'll have their class wants all of the star students that are all from the Glee Club kind of thing. And how you figure out if a student is like a star student or a jock is not actually on their card to start with necessarily, but you'll gain as you go to different areas and you sort of progress in different, you kind of go up certain tracks in different class types. You will then gain these tokens which sit on the students, and so you kind of make them the nerd by placing by placing up to 5 of these tokens on each student. And then on the right-hand side is a bit of a polyomino game. So you can also, instead of grabbing students, you can grab these sort of polyomino tiles. And some of them will give you signatures. So like work placement, if you're later there, you need to have signatures. You need to have a hall pass basically to go there because you're later to the session to take the photos. And therefore you need to have signatures. So some of them will give you signatures, or they'll give you some of these tokens, or some of them will give you different scoring ones. So I picked up, one of my teachers wanted star students, so Glee Club star students, and I had a thing that was then for everyone that had 3 star tokens on them, I'll get 2 extra victory points. So you're kind of building that engine, and on that side of things, you are also covering up symbols which will give you more of these tokens. On the left-hand side, which is the student sort of side, if you start filling up rows and columns, you'll also gain bonuses. So there's kind of like a bit of an engine builder, a bit of a sort of spatial puzzle in there. And like I sort of said before, it felt like, I thought, this is a bit lighter than I was expecting. And then they went, and we've not introduced you to any of the advanced rules yet because we just wanted for the demo to keep it to the sort of base rules. And so, tell me about the advanced rules. Well, every student has on the right-hand side like a half picture of like a football or of like music club or whatever on the right-hand side, and then also on the left-hand side. Well, if you join those up so that they make a whole picture, then you get bonuses for that. Mm-hmm. So you'll get bits and pieces for that. At the same time, there's public goals. So every 7, if you've got 7 whistles or the most whistles in a column, which is like the jock symbol, then you'll also gain points at the end of the game. And if you visit an area, you can hand in, because we had loads of signatures at the end, and we were like, what are we going to do with all these signatures? Like, what? This doesn't feel right. And they're like, what we also didn't tell you is when you go to an area, you can hand a signature in and change it for a token of the type of classroom you're in. So again, if you're on the sports field, you can get a whistle. And suddenly it's like, oh man, this is going to really ramp up the complexity of the game and really turn it into a bit more of a brain burny game. Yeah. So I'm really going to keep an eye on this because, as I say, I kind of thought, this is good. I like this, but maybe not quite rivaling Luthia. I think actually it won't be as heavy as Luthia, but I think it could rival it in terms of decision making and stuff like that. And I really, again, it's a prototype, it's in black and white. They had some of the artwork, which is very 80s style artwork. They've said they're trying to kind of take inspiration from certain people who were around in the 80s, who were sort of kids in the 80s, to sort of make some of these pictures feel like more 80s and stuff like that. And so you really got a feel for what the end product is going to be, very vibrant and all the sort of blues and pinks that you associate with the 80s and all that lot. So had a lot of
unique theme as well, right?
Unique theme, and I think a unique mix for this sort of, I'm going to say it's going to be mid-heavyweight, and I think it's a unique mix of kind of work placement is fairly standard in these kind of things, but having that sort of polyomino, there's a few out there, but there's not many of the polyomino, and then the sort of get these things in alphabetical order and match up the images. It's kind of...
Feast for Odin's probably one of the few, right?
Yeah, well, I was thinking of Plantanubo, for instance, and stuff like that. It's kind of... the polyomino bit is not the center part of it, but certainly the having things in alphabetical order and then having to reset classes, like with a new teacher and all that, just, I think, is something different to that sort of mid-heavyweight genre. So going to keep a close eye on that.
Wicked.
Nice.
I swung by Huff No More's stand and bought their Sakana Stack, which is a kind of a card shedding game. What I really liked about it was the artwork, and although I'm not interested in Japanese fish because or sushi and that kind of thing, which is what the images are, seafood, I really liked the stylings of it, and it seemed pretty simple, a bit like a a bit like Scout level, I think, that kind of level game. And I thought everyone needs a Scout level game in their life. So I also bought their flower cards deck, which is illustrated, all the illustrations done by Joss, who's one of the founders. And it's a Hanafuda card set, which is most kind of, I think, Japanese, like traditional card game.
Yeah.
Like we would have 13 cards of hearts, clubs, diamonds, and spades. They have a different sort of system. So, and I just love the artwork. I just that's really beautiful.
Very pretty.
So, yeah, I picked that up. And again, in that kind of indie way, you can just tell all the love that's been poured into something. And they've rocked up and they've found it's been really popular. And that's really nice. Really, really nice.
That's the way they were saying on the press event that the way the artwork's done on the other game, what was it called? The
Sakana Stack.
Sakana. I keep thinking the Santana, which is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was drawn in a traditional Japanese method.
Yeah, with the brush and the
which that's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Attention to detail there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope that sounds fun. Not to play.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What else did we do on Saturday? Oh, had our food, didn't we?
Oh my God.
It was, do you know what? It was
average.
It was average. Yeah, it was just very average.
It's a lot of money for average.
I think it's one thing to note for people, if you're going with a large group, or even if you're not going with a large group, you're going with a small group, if you want to have a meal in the evening, you're going to have to pre-book quite early. Mm-hmm. Which is something that we always do. And it's actually a really nice kind of way of rounding off the Saturday, I think, which is usually it's in the middle of you're really knackered and it's just a really nice time to take out couple of hours and just have a bit of a decompress, get you out of those halls because it is very overwhelming with the noise, the heat, the smell, the amount of bodies in one area. Yeah. So I think having that little break is actually really helpful. Yeah. Really helpful.
Usually I'd say, but TGI Fridays was not nice and relaxing. Or
it was very noisy, wasn't it? Which I guess maybe it always is. I've never been there before.
Kylie concert across the road, which I think amped the volume up a bit.
It did. Yeah.
Lots of Kylie fans in, getting ready for that concert. So you can imagine the environment that we were kind of in. But yeah, I was disappointed by it. I mean, what I had was okay. It's fine. I enjoyed it, but I think it was just hit and miss. And we were late sitting down, and I think it just started to piss people off. And
yeah, we had to wait half an hour for our table. Even though we were there on time, we had to wait half an hour for our table. Which is this is the thing, isn't it? It's not the servers' fault. They were really, really attentive and really nice. Yeah. But it does sour your experience.
It was an hour and 15 from when we were booked to be in to when we actually got food.
Wow.
Which is
it was that long.
Quite a while to be like, because it was half hour for that and then it was nearly 45 minutes for the first lot of food to come out,
But we made up for it by trying to get a happy birthday song for Rob. Which
he was not pleased about that.
He loved, and he was very tired and probably grouchy at this stage. But if anyone's been to TGI Fridays before, if it's anyone's birthday, they'll do a lot of clapping and
they sing a little song.
Sing a little song and make you a spectacle of the entire restaurant. And it was pretty much Rob's birthday over that weekend, so we did threaten. And at one point,
every time a server came across, there's happy birthday, Rob, happy birthday.
You could see that Rob was kind of like getting a little bit twitchy every time he saw someone. In exactly the same way that Curly would not have just his worst thing.
But we got him as he walked out the restaurant to make a phone call, and I think a lot of the restaurant was singing happy birthday as he walked out, and he was just like, I need to get out of here.
I don't think he was happy with that, so sorry about that, Rob.
So kind of took the sting out of the experience for me anyway.
But I can strongly recommend the little, what are they called? Potato tots. It's basically like just little mini hash browns. Yeah. Delicious.
They were good.
They were delicious.
Yeah.
My ribs were nice. That was the only thing on the plate was really nice with my ribs, but that was the main thing. So.
I paid 20 quid for KFC basically. Like I was not,
Yeah.
I paid 28 quid for a bit of a crap salad.
Oh yeah, Rob's salad was burnt and cold at the same time.
Yeah,
he had chicken on it that was burnt and then cold.
Yeah, mine would have been fine if it had been intentionally cold. Like if the chicken was intentionally cold, then you're like, I can get on board with that. But it wasn't meant to be like that. But yeah, the tater tots, little things, they were delicious. I would absolutely eat them again.
Yeah. So we'll probably avoid it next year.
I missed the churros.
I missed it. We used to go Las Iguanas.
Yeah.
And those churros, just ordering a mountain of churros for a table is just a great way to end a Saturday.
But it's really difficult to get in if you don't book it about 7 months in advance.
Super early. Yeah, so guys, you've really got to be on that.
Actually,
we
no,
shouldn't really be telling people this.
No.
Don't book early. No.
TGI Fridays is great.
Las Iguanas doesn't take bookings. Don't try it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's pretty much Saturday. Play some games and things as we did, and then let's roll into the final day, which is always a bit of a weird one. Sunday's the quieter day.
I think you kind of by that point your body is you've had
I'm
enough.
tired.
You don't want it to be over yet, but your body is like I'm done now. I'm just done.
Yeah, you could happily go home probably at any point, like in the morning. So I could go home now, but then you're like, but I know it's going to be quiet and I can get around everything.
It's so much nicer to walk around. But that's when I tried to buy Tactica again from lots of other places, and Tactica was not available. So. Yeah,
but the one demo I didn't get on, and I thought I'll try Sunday. Sunday's going to be my day. Was Terraria.
Oh yeah.
Which is like a side-scrolly, Minecrafty, dungeon delve kind of game, and wasn't even remotely interested in this. Not played the computer game until the press event, and actually I saw it and went, oh, actually that's quite cool. Don't know what it was.
Really good mat. That really good kind of.
It looked fun.
Yeah.
I was having a chat with a guy, and then I think you came over, and then because it's based on Terraria, the video game produced by Chucklefish. And I was always intrigued about this. It's been stuck in production for quite a long time, a little bit over than what it probably should have. But I can see how it would be hard because they've got to really. The thing with video games, you've got to tie into how the video game feels, and if you don't, then people aren't going to link to it, right? It's not going to be a good game. How they do the exploration of digging around and then digging down and building and everything else is quite intriguing. And we had a little run through, didn't he? He ran through with us kind of what was going on, but we still haven't seen how the game actually plays.
Got no idea, and I still don't. But I'm intrigued by it, so at some point we'll catch that. But then I went back to Chip Theory.
Oh, did you again?
Yeah.
Oh, did you manage to find it again? Yeah,
Base camp. And it was quite quiet. So Andrew was on the stand, and so we were just catching up and chatting about
this bloody guy. Again.
Oh, you cannot shake him off. He's just literally there. And he did say, so have you tried this game? And it was Neon Rain. I went, no, I haven't actually had a chance. He said, let's have a game. So he pitched me to play this game, and Rob sat down as well. He played one of the demoers, and he just taught it me. And again, it's another game under the Neon Night Studios subsidiary of Chip Theory, and I've heard about it, but they haven't. With that studio, they're not pushing their games through crowdfunding or anything like that. They're just releasing them, so they're kind of just like, oh, it's here, which is kind of weird for them because it's like, what? What is it? Normally, it's a big splash, it's a big thing. So these kind of smaller games are kind of flying under the radar a little bit. So we had a game, and Neon Rain is really like an 80s style arcade fighting game, really. It's like Street Fighter. So you're picking your character, and it's got a special move and ability on there, and you've got your deck of cards. And in the cards, you've got buttons, you've got joysticks going left, right, down, and you're trying to build up combos in your hand. So when you're attacking, so the cards will say you can use this on attack or defense. So when you're attacking, you play up to 1 to 3 cards, and you kind of play them in a triangle fashion, so that if you've got a button combo, which is maybe 2 Ys or 2 Xs, other than what the cards tell you that they're doing, they will add kind of combo bonuses. So you can kind of get a combo on, if you've got 3 cards down in all directions, which will end up, popping off and doing lots of damage. And some of the cards give you stars, and then when you charge up your stars in your character, as soon as you get the requirement, you'll pop their special ability instantly, and it'll do some cool stuff. And then all the characters have like an innate power or ability as well. So when you're doing your attack, the other defender can then play up to 2 cards to either block or throw your opponent, which might then remove some of the cards or break the combo apart. So again, to try and weaken the attacks. And again, it's just very fluid. It's very kind of straightforward, and it was just a nice, like, little battle-y game. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. Actually, I didn't think it would be kind of my thing, but yeah, there's a little bit of depth there actually, in how the characters work, how the combos work, and how you want to. Do you want to go all out on this attack, or because you've got 7 cards and you have to spend the whole action to redraw up. So the timing of when you redraw is quite important because you're leaving yourself open. And it was a lot of fun. And thanks to Andrew, who's winged us a copy. So I'm going to give that a go with Josh, because I think Josh my son would dig that. And we like our kind of head-to-head card games like Radlands and other games like that. So I think that might quite fit in that wheelhouse of that kind of weight
played
as
that
well.
samurai game a few times before.
Kiri-Eye. Yeah, so we like to play our quick, like little jewelly games that aren't too complex or complicated. And I'd recommend just giving it a whirl if you see it. It's compared to a Chip Theory game's big box bonanza at £200 plus. This thing was like £25, and and it's still got that.
And not £25 in weight.
No, but it still has that CTG component quality. Again, the cards are indestructible. It's that same kind of PVC stuff they use for all the other games, and it's good fun.
Nice.
So Neon Rain, check it out.
Neon Rain.
Yeah.
One of the last things I bought was a game called Smug Owls, which it was funny because when I was talking to Curly about it afterwards, he said, I looked at that game and immediately dismissed it as crap. And I immediately went, oh, that's good. And I bought it almost straight away. Which just goes to show our kind of... The reason I bought it was because it uses English in an interesting way. And I think it might be a game that I can play with one of my best friends who is an English teacher. So... it's a game where you make up a riddle and everyone playing has to think of the answer to that riddle.
Yeah.
So the first card is always the same, and that's what. And then at the very end, you've got a question mark. So in the middle, you've got like a conjunction like and then or is bigger than or whatever. And you turn over different things in the other two slots. So it might say what rises and then you get the next card, which might say breaks. Whatever, and then everyone around the table's got to think of an answer to that riddle. The person who either can't think of one or thinks of one last becomes the smug owl and decides how good everyone else's answer is and kind of dishes out the points. But I just liked how I've not seen anything use language like that. And okay, yes, it's just like a little fun party game kind of a thing. But the fact it had owls was nice. I liked it. I just liked how
and the fact they were smug.
Yeah, there was
owls.
But I liked how immediately Curly was like, absolute crap. Couldn't think of anything less interesting, and I was immediately like, yes, that's really cool. Like it just showed the absolute
opposites that you are. In
polarity.
Position of it all.
Yeah. So Smug Owls, thought it looked quite cool. And apparently there's a dirty version, which if I'd have seen, I 100% would have bought.
Smutty Owls.
Called Smut Owls.
Yes.
It's actually Smutty Owls.
Yes, there is.
Smut
so if I'd have seen
Fuck
that,
owl.
I would completely have. I would have bought that too, but I didn't see it. I think, to be honest, though, you could probably make quite dirty answers anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, slutty owl.
Yeah.
Slut drop owl.
Yeah. So there is a dirty version, which I'm sad I didn't see.
Slutty owl.
I've just totaled up how many steps I did on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, go on.
It's 82,842.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
This is the thing, because we're there from the Thursday as well.
Yeah, you get an extra day of mental steps in.
Yeah.
Which averages at over like 20,700.
Yeah, mine was about 20,000 a day.
Yeah. But then most of your Sundays sat in the car, to be honest.
Yeah.
True.
So, but so wear comfy shoes is what we're trying to say.
Always.
And then the day after, today, you ache like anything.
I'm not ever too bad because I stand up all day at work. So I'm used to doing a lot of steps and standing up, but I'm not used to, I think it's that walking and stopping. That is what gets your legs, I think.
Yeah.
Really
I ache.
We're really fit, aren't we?
Yeah.
Anyway, Sunday, anyone else do anything cool?
Yeah, so I got a little game of Sniper Elite. So Adrian's played this before.
I have. It's a good game.
You've got it, haven't you?
I've got it.
You've got it. But they're doing an expansion, which is hitting Kickstarter. And me and my brother sat down, and when this demo includes the Kickstarter pieces, right? Because I think they're easy, they can fit in easily with the rest of Sniper Elite with the certain abilities, right?
Yeah, so the Kickstarter is kind of two parts. Mm-hmm. One is like a standalone expansion, and the other is called Escalation, which is like a load of stuff that you can, like you'll get points and you can buy to put them in, and it'll change either side.
Okay.
So it kind of makes it even more asymmetric or changes up each play with the Escalation, whereas sure it's the escalation one that does that. Either way, it's two halves basically that they're doing in one Kickstarter, and one is very much a case of here's more stuff for both games, and the other's just like here's a standalone expansion. Basically.
But yeah, so we sat down and played it. I've never played it before, and I was a sniper, and my brother was the general soldiers, the Nazis, and the way that they've done this is it works so well thematically, and I really didn't think it was going to. But you've got two cards, which are your objectives, which the sniper will randomly pull. These objectives will correspond to a color, which is a section of the map, as well as a number, which is a point on that map. When you spawn in as the sniper, you can't spawn in an area where you've got one of the objective cards. And you'll have a little board where you kind of draw your movement. When you move, if you do a one movement, nothing can hear you. But if you move 2 to 3, anything that is next to you on any point of that movement will be able to hear your movement, and you have to basically say like it's making noise, but they don't know which way you've ended up, right? As a sniper, you have like 3 actions. You move, you shoot, and then you can play a card. The card's got little abilities on. Like I had one where I was able to play it face down and move without making any noise. But you don't reveal that one till the end. I had another one which was a little mine where if anyone stepped on it, you can reveal it. And a rock where basically
it makes noise.
Which was great because I used the rock at one point, and he obviously thinks I'm coming from a different area. The shooting in it is great. The little chips in a bag. You've got a load of chips in a bag. You've got one that has a hit marker, one that has a red like miss. The yellow miss, and the red marker, which is just bad, where if you pull 2 of them, they know exactly where you are. You basically have a distance. So say I'm 3 away from where I'm shooting at. I need 3 hits to be able to hit that because it's 3 distance away. So I need to be able to pull chips, and the minimum I can pull then is 3, but I can choose however many chips I want to pull.
No, you can keep going, push your luck.
But you don't keep going. You just choose a value at the start.
Yeah, so I'm going to pull 6 chips.
Oh, but that's worse, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you choose to get 2 of those red ones, you reveal yourself instantly. You only need to get hit twice as a sniper, and you're out. You're dead. So you're going to go, right, I'm going to shoot. You don't have to nominate where you're shooting, because obviously that's going to give the game away, but you'll go, I'm going to shoot, I'm going to draw 4 chips. You draw the 4 chips. I was quite lucky every time because I always hit. But the more you kill, you'll get a hit chip in the bag if you kill one of the normal units. If you kill one of the officers, which have little abilities for them, you get to put a negate chip in. And that negate one negates the red markers, which is, I think it starts with 2 in the bag. But then when you do an objective, so when you finally get to this objective, you'll play the card. It's got the number and the location on, so the other player will instantly know you're there. Whether you moved first or not, they don't know. But they know you're there, and you put another red chip in your bag. So it starts getting harder, and it escalates, and it really ramps up after that first objective. As the person trying to playing as the Nazis or the German forces, they've got these little cubes. They've got 2 per coloured area. So each of the blue soldiers can do 2 actions of the blue army, 2 actions of the red, 2 actions of the yellow. They can choose how they use those. Some of their officers might have abilities that use these cubes, but they can move up to 2. They can search an area where they'll scan the area they're in and 2 spaces adjacent to them. Or they can do an intel where they spend both cubes and you will say, are you in this area? But then they can't do any more actions in that area. I think there's one other, or they can search. No, they can shoot. And that's shooting an area that's on the space they are. There's an officer that can shoot around them as well. The one we were playing, or Jaeger. But yeah, it's just a really good cat and mouse game, little hidden movement game, and it works really well.
It just does the job of being a really solid hidden movement game. And if people like the Sniper Elite sort of idea, then it kind of fits. And there's like the German soldiers for each group, they can have a specialist card and stuff like that. And then, as you say, you pick your loadouts with weapons and stuff. And I think it's just a really solid game. So the fact that it's getting because I've not even got the Eagle's Nest expansion, which came with the first one. So the fact that it's now getting another sort of expansion that has vehicles in it and stuff like that, and this escalation box, I think is great. It's just going to give more.
There's been love, isn't it?
More options.
Yeah. And David Thompson, the designer, said that he wants to come on the podcast and have a chat. So
nice.
That was good. Yeah. I was just really impressed. It's such a snappy game for a hidden movement as well. You draw your movement on your board and you do an arrow and you might put round 1. This is where I've moved. And it's for a hidden movement. It was really snappy, which I really liked about it. It was quick turns in between.
Yeah.
Really good 2-player, right? I probably wouldn't ever play it 3 or 4.
I think it improves.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I played it against Mark Monk. So I think all of these games, all of hidden movement games, I think work better with at least 3 players, because the point is really I feel like when you're the hidden person, it's to feel outnumbered and you get to hear a little bit of their conversation. And so I think these games always improve at least 3 players. So like when I played Mark Monk, like he was completely lost at one point and he had no one to bounce ideas off as the German player, and I was the sniper kind of doing my thing. And then since then I've played it with 3, and when they get to talk to each other, it's great because sometimes they whisper the wrong thing in each other's ears sort of thing, and they kind of mislead each other, and sometimes they just like, nah, he's blatantly over there, and you're like, oh, they've got me here. Like if they agree right now, that's my game done sort of thing. And so I feel like these things make 4-player, I think, can be a bit tough. It's the same with like Whitehall Mystery and stuff like that, which again is very quick, hidden movement 3 versus 1 sort of thing. And I think at 4-player it can be a bit much sometimes, but I certainly think they're better at 3 or 4 than they are at 2 normally, personally. But I enjoyed my 2-player game with Mark when we played at GridCon.
Yeah, maybe 3-player will work. I just haven't played it, right?
Yeah.
So that's the only experience I had of it. I didn't know how it would scale up. It's really good fun.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by it.
It's really good fun. But that's done by
Rebellion Studios.
Your Rebellion Unplugged.
Yeah.
So they also had that other game Joyride there, which looked like good fun, but never played it. So
I've not played that one, but
seen a lot of buzz around it.
Yeah,
it seemed really bashy car game.
It's had a lot of love.
Yeah.
So, nice. Anything else?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Ooh.
So
Adrian's been holding back.
Probably my favourite demo of the convention, if I'm being honest, and one I'm really looking forward to. So on Sunday, I kind of went in and had a bit of a mooch, and then eventually sort of came round to where there was a game being demoed that I felt like I'd missed out on, but I was already like 15 minutes into the convention at this point. And as I walked past, there was 2 people they were like clearly mid-teach. I thought, I'll hover a bit. And they said, look, we've only just started the teach. Do you want to sit down and join us? I thought, yeah. And I thought, Spudge is going to miss this because Spudge wanted to play this as well.
Right.
So I felt a bit sad, but I thought, I can't make him start again for like the 3rd time.
You could do it once.
Yeah.
Like,
so I played with, we played a 3-player game of Last Week of Summer. And again, it's an 80s game, so it seems like a bit of a theme.
Yeah, I thought that when I saw those 2.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's really going hard on the old 80s sort of vibe.
And the idea is you're going to go off to college. It's the last week of summer, and you are going to make it the best week of your life, basically, is kind of the idea.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Halfway there. Don't know why that came to my head.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Because usually that's the one before the one where it's Summer of 69.
That's a bit more like it. Well, this feels more like Summer of 89.
89,
it's that's basically the concept. And it's basically a bunch of mini games inside a very simple sort of kind of worker placement. So what you're going to do is you want to have the best last week of summer, but in order to do that, you have to have a bit of money. So you've agreed to work at all of these places for 1 shift. And if you don't, if you go and work there, then you'll get a bit of money. If at the end of the game you haven't done all your shifts, then you're going to get some minus points because you agreed to work somewhere for the summer for a shift, and then you didn't.
Yeah, you let yourself down.
So you got to go and do 1 shift at each of these places. Now, what you're trying to do is kind of sometimes avoid the other people. So like at the skate park, so one of the locations is a skate park. It's a little polyomino game. You're trying to get 3 of the trick tiles in a row, and then you've done the trick and you get to put your little cassette, which is a victory point on that. If you go on your own when there's no one else there, you can do loads of tricks, so you can get a bigger polyomino tile, which is great. If you go with someone else, you get to do less tricks. But what you really want to do is go there when the cool kid is there. So every day the cool kids are in different locations at different times. So you're going to play a morning card and you might go and work at the skate park. In the afternoon, if you go to play at the skate park, when the cool kid is there, you go up the track. And whoever's furthest up the track, okay, that means there's other people there. So you get to normally do the lower ability, but you get further up the track, and whoever's spent the most time with all the cool kids gets more victory points at the end as well.
Nice.
So, and they're all different ones. So the arcade is a dice rolling game. You spend your money and then you roll dice. And if you get 3 of the same dice over all the turns you've been there, then you get to put your cassette down. So if you get 2 rows of these dice, that's 1 cassette. If you get 4 rows, that's another set. And then if you get a high score at the end, that's another cassette sort of thing. So that's one. Let's say the skate park is a polyomino game. They've got like a blockbuster, so you're going to see as many movies as possible in the last week. So you're going to play I think 5 Tribes on One Color that they've called it, but I've never played those games. So basically you're going to start somewhere, pick up all the cassettes and then drop them off. And then wherever you end up at the end, you're going to take all those cassettes. And for every cassette, you're going to add one to the tracker. And when you get 5 of a cassette type, then you've watched VHS. Not cassette as such, but VHS, then you've watched your horror movies, you watch your sci-fi movies, and then you get to put a cassette to say, yeah, I've watched all the horror movies. I'm trying to think. There's a burger bar, so you're going to push your luck. So there's shakes, burgers, tacos, and fries. And you're going to keep turning over cards. And if you keep getting yums, then for every yum you get
yum,
you're going to move yourself up a track, and when you get to the end of the track, you get to put a little cassette on there for a victory point. If you get a yuck, you've had a nasty taco or a nasty shake, and therefore you only get to choose one of the cards, and you go up 1, so it's a push your luck. And they're the ones we played with. So in a 3-player game, you'll play with 4 locations. And I was like, great. So you kind of are trying to work out where you want to be morning, noon, and afternoon, and if you're working in the same place as somebody, as where there's someone else turns up, then you get less money as well. So you're kind of wanting to work on your own sort of thing, so you get more money, and at the same time you're trying to turn up possibly where the cool kids are if you want to go up the cool kid track, or there's all these things going on. And I thought, this is great. Like it gave off Federation vibes, where you've kind of got a central mechanic and then there's loads of mini games around it, but definitely more family weight. And I thought, but there's quite a lot of luck in this, and this is definitely feeling a bit family weight. And he went, oh, by the way, there's these 2 locations you haven't seen yet. You can either randomize them or choose not to. And one is a very mean, you are graffitiing a wall. Right. But of course you can graffiti over each other's artwork. So it's about an area control game where you're graffitiing over each other's artwork. And I can't remember what the other one was, but it's basically like a stock market game. I think it's like a vinyl records, where if you you kind of want to play a song so it gets cool, but if you play it too much, it becomes uncool.
It's not cool.
It's not and so there's a couple of meaner boards on there as well, and so you can either randomize it or decide maybe you're not playing with the arcade because it's just too random because it's rolling dice. Instead you're going to play the other game and like one of the other places instead, and so you can kind of decide which type of game you want.
Yeah.
So
modular.
Yeah, the artwork, it looks very cool. It looks very vibrant, bright. And I love how the VP that you get at the end represents like your mixtape, that represents your like
how cool
amazing,
was your last week.
Yeah, your amazing memory. I just thought it was really well thought.
And because it's cassettes, and at the end of it, you collect all the cassettes up and you basically start putting the cassettes out. And you're like, oh, that person's getting ahead. And then suddenly they've stopped getting cassettes. And the next person. And so because the VP isn't a tracker or something like that, at the end, it's a bit like, oh, how did we all do sort of thing? And you sort of slowly watch the number of cassettes come out for things. So Sean did a great job of selling it. So it's, now this is the bit where if you listen to our interview, I go, allies or enemies? Because I kept wanting to call it Axis and Allies, because the name of the company is actually Allies or Enemies, but in my head I kept thinking of Axis and Allies, so I kept going Enemies and Allies, so apologies because I nearly ruined that in the video. But yeah, Allies or Enemies gaming, it's hopefully coming to Kickstarter this summer. I was already excited before I started playing, but it's kind of towards the end, like maybe the last
week of summer.
So he said obviously Kickstarters are Kickstarters, like they might come out at different times, but I was already excited when we saw this at the press event, and it'd been one I'd walked past a few times and thought there's quite a few people waiting for that, or it's mid-game or whatever. And when I finally got a game of it, it was definitely it's family weight, it's solid mid-weight games, but it's so it doesn't take itself too seriously, but there is a good game in there. As I say, just the fact that if you don't work all your shifts, so because you can just keep going to the skate park. The skate park's free because skate parks are free, right? So you can kind of skimp a little bit and do a load of the skate park stuff. But then at the end, you're going to have minus points because you've promised to work shifts at the burger bar and the arcades and all that kind of stuff. And just that kind of push-pull on it, as well as, do I go with the cool kid? Are the other people going to go there? Does that makes it worse? It makes it better? All those kind of things really pulled it into just sort of elevated it a little bit.
Nice.
They did a great teach on YouTube.
Oh, did they?
I saw that last week or before we went to the con anyway, and thought, that looked really good.
Yeah.
And they were they were really like that in real life, like really friendly and chatty, and really made it just seemed really fun.
I like
really
the modular
allies,
nature.
not enemies.
Yeah.
I like the modular nature of it. It kind of gives me that Shackleton base or SETI where you could, I don't want to do that, or put this in, or flip this out and do that. And again, it's very expandable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well. You can, I'll have more locations and more cool things.
And if you play 4-player, you'll play 5 out of the 6 boards.
Yeah.
But what I did think is it's great for expansions, right? Like if you can figure out...
There isn't a beach location.
If you figure out 2 or 3 more locations with cool little mini games in there, and again, this is jumping it because he's got to get the first one across the line. But honestly, if people got to play it and demo it, I think this is going to be a great success. It's had me sort of tingling for...
Yeah, I think I'm going to back it, and you just explained it to me.
Yeah,
so.
I'm there as well.
It did a great job of capturing, and again, it's really bright and vibrant. So, like all the colours pop off. Each location looks and feels distinct. So they've done a great job.
Brilliant.
Nice.
Sorry, I got too excited there.
No, it's good.
Good.
It's good. It's not even summer yet, Adrian. Calm down.
Yeah.
Anything else, guys?
I think we journeyed home pretty early after that. We were shattered.
We did. We left pretty early.
We left midday. I was like, I think we're done now. I think we're ready.
We did
Had a Five Guys hot dog, which I've never had before.
Oh, nice.
I only ever had the burgers. The hot dog's nice.
They're all
small, but it's nice.
You can get the jumbo one.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
normally there is.
Jumbo one. Didn't even see.
I think there is. They've changed the menu slightly, so maybe that's...
Who knows?
But I stuck around and hung around with Marcus for a bit because Marcus turned up on the last day. So it was nice to see him and catch up with him. And I entered the £1,000 giveaway. So every day they do a competition to win £1,000 to be spent at the show. And I entered it. I'd always do it on a Sunday. Never going to win. But it's one of those where I think I worked out there's about 150 people that enter it.
Yeah.
Every time. So it's not massive amounts.
That's pretty good odds then,
considering how many are there, I'm sure I was working out it's about 150 people or whatever. I thought that's not the worst odds. There's certainly not like 1,000 people crammed looking for the answer, but so like looking to see who won the raffle. But so I thought I'll enter that, and then once I sort of caught that, I did the same and headed off home.
72,000, I think, went this year, didn't they say?
72,000 tickets sold.
Yeah.
Tickets sold. I think 42,000 unique tickets. So 42,000 different people.
Yeah.
But
again, biggest ever.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
We did a last spin around the Bringer By, like I mentioned, before we went home, and it wasn't... You can really tell the difference in
Friday to Sunday.
Yeah, but I think you can definitely...
Pillaged.
You can definitely tell the difference now. They've stopped people taking unlimited games in. I think that really does kind of filter out a lot of
the chaff.
Well, what they've also done is they've stopped people repricing items once you've put your price in on a Friday.
Which I can see why, but that is quite nice to just get rid of your stuff at the end, isn't it?
It stops 2 things. It stops people finding the bargains and then just relisting them for a higher price a couple of days later. And it also stops people kind of... I remember the first year we went, there was loads of really high-priced games in there. And then by the Sunday, they'd all come down in price because people kept re-putting it in at a lower price, which I think it just kind of means that everyone's going to price it as best as they can on the Friday, Saturday, Sunday when they first put it in. And then it stops people kind of revisiting it. So it meant checking out at the end was very easy as well.
So that's the show. That is it.
Yeah.
What do you mean that's it? We've been here like 3.5
It's been
hours.
82 years since we started the recording.
Expo.
But you know what? I think I had a blast.
Yeah.
I think this is definitely better than last year for me. I had fun last year. There's nothing wrong with last year, but for me, just the freshened experience was like, this is just cool, and I got a kick out of it and had a laugh, and as I always do. And because I always tell myself, maybe I'll have a year off, and then I go, maybe I won't.
Yeah, this is one. Again, we booked hotels, right? Because you have to kind of book hotels early.
Yeah, you got to do it while you're there for the next year.
On the Thursday and Friday, we were there booking hotels, right, for the next year. So I think for me, it feels like one of those. I hope it gets bigger. Is like this year felt bigger because it was ultimately, and I hope that every year it continues to grow because I think it's got always more potential, right? Yeah. So I hope they get more space over the maybe not next year, but over the next few years. I hope they get more space and a chance to grow things and all that lot because it's just awesome for the hobby, isn't it? And
yeah,
there's a lot more kind of independent developers as well as you've got your staples, but it really has like a good variety of games, especially this year. Last year, I think it was slightly lacking, right? I think people had got hit by some of the trade new laws where a load of less people stock didn't turn up, etc. And this year, they felt like everyone was kind of there who was meant to be there. There was 2 unique releases with Luthia and Fate of the Fellowships, which was really nice.
I think those were the 2 big ones, but there were definitely more. Like there was some we looked at like that sold out for morning of day 1 sort of thing. So there's loads there.
Yeah, it was just really good this year, I think.
There's a good variety. I just felt like there's the big, the small, the everything in between, and good representation of what you'd want from a convention like that. I think everyone would find something.
And again, I don't know whether it's because there was more space between the stands, but a lot of the stands felt bigger than they'd ever been before as well. And some stands have been big for years, like Aries. That stand's always been fairly decent footprint. And yet I don't know whether it was bigger or not, but it certainly felt like it had more space. And so, but there was loads of stands. All Play felt bigger because I can't remember. Was All Play there last year?
Yeah, I think
they were definitely in Essen because you've seen them in Essen, but I don't think they've had that amount of foot space. And CG, all of them felt like they had a bigger footprint with more to show.
Yeah.
So
I don't think Chip Theory was there either last year, were they?
No, they weren't.
No.
So
JP had no.
They definitely wasn't.
Yeah, they weren't.
They were selling their games at Spiral Galaxy, but they weren't there. Yeah.
So all of loads of the big ones especially felt like they had more footprint. So be good to see them continuing growing.
Yeah. I'd just say a massive thank you to everyone who we saw, listeners, who we kind of stumbled across and had interactions with, designers, publishers, absolutely everyone. Like it really makes the show for us when we kind of get those interactions, and we just keep getting more and more, which is awesome, which we just want more and more. And just a massive thank you to the organisers of the show, as always.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a feat.
You can tell blood, sweat and tears goes into it.
It's a feat. And, there's a lot of energy and focus to kind of be put on to make a show like that. And we love it. Keep doing it because we want to keep coming back. So there we go. I'm ready for bed.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're done. We're done, aren't we?
I think we're done.
We're done.
So,
bye.
So now all that's left to say is, again, thanks for listening for this jumbo-packed Expo episode. And if you want more Expo goodness in your life, then check out our next one where we give you the live recording of our show on the Friday, as well as some of our interviews with designers and folk, which should be good fun. But if you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe, as always, and please share this podcast with all your friends, family, and board game nerds around that you think would love the show as well. And if you want to support the show and keep us going and keep us attending these conventions and getting the equipment to do so, we are on Coffee, and we love it if we get that support. It really keeps us going. So thank you to all those that do. But other than that, I'm ready.
That was like the longest outro ever, JP.
I'm stretching it out because it's the longest episode ever. But other than that, whose turn is it?
Spudges. It's Spudges' turn.
Sweeter than fudge.